Welcome back to the final UCL Fantasy deadline stream of the season and the final piece of content for the entire campaign. It's a pleasure to see so many of you here already. I know it usually might be a bit more action-packed, more people even, but as we get to the latter stages, it does calm down a little bit, but it's still good to see a good number. And thank you very much for all your support throughout the entire season, all the likes, comments, the patrons, channel members, all of you are much appreciated. Those that send in super chats throughout the live streams and also with super thanks on videos. Thank you very much. We'll jump straight into it, talking about the key topics heading into this Champions League final between Inter Milan and Manchester City, talking about the best captaincy options and elaborating on some points that we discussed in the best limitless / wildcard team video and also the team selection video. But of course, some things have changed and some things might yet still change when we get the lineups for the deadline. Let me know if there's any kind of background noise. I do have my window open because it's the hottest day of the year so far in the UK. I've even got a fan on as well. So if you do hear it, then let me know and I'll also maybe deal with that and make sure you don't hear it too much. But let's get straight into your questions. Thank you very much for your support, as I said, and we'll get straight into it. So thank you, Cilindra. Enjoy the Champions League final and have a good time with your mates. Welcome, Domenico. Bienvenido, Amaro. Great having you back. The only thing I'm hoping, City wears the AC Milan uniform. Oh, yeah. If they do, then Inter Milan have a great chance. That's actually a good point. I'm not too sure, actually. You know, I think Man City are technically the home team, so they might be wearing the home kit and Inter Milan will be wearing the away kit. I might be wrong about that, though. But if you are correct, and, you know, that could play a part. And Man City had some troubles early in the season with their third kit, the green one or yellow one, but that's a long time ago now. Start Dzeko or a City midfielder, says Elliot. That is a good question. I'd probably go for a City midfielder. Reports indicate that Dzeko will start yet again in the Champions League, but you never know. And Lukaku's been in great form, so he could be the wildcard pick for Inter Milan and Inzaghi as well. Elliot says best Man City midfielders, best formation for the final. If you check out my channel, you will see some polls, and one of them was the best formation. And I think the one that's winning at the moment is 3-5-2, if I'm not mistaken. If not, it will be 3-4-3. But in terms of best Man City mid, I mean, it's Kevin De Bruyne by far. In second place, I'd probably lean towards Gundogan. He is the man for the big moments. Another final for him. And this would be his third Champions League final, I believe, after the first one with Dortmund against Bayern. He lost that one. And also against Chelsea for Man City. Also lost that one. And it could be third time lucky for him. But I'd say Gundogan second, Bernardo Silva third. Rodri's kind of your consistent 4 or 5 pointer. And you never know, he could pop up with a goal as well. But in the Champions League, he's only got one so far in his career. Welcome, Rock and Roll. Enjoyed Dubai. That's really good. I don't even want to imagine how many degrees it is there. In the UK, it's 30 degrees. Well, so someone's just said you can't hear anything. Let me know if that's the case. I'll quickly check and make sure. So yeah, let me know if you can't hear me. Maybe it's just Hayden who's having that issue. But yeah, enjoy your holiday there, Rock and Roll. Welcome, OK Shankly. Good to see you. It is a good day. Welcome, El Nico. No noise. You're good. That's good because I've literally got a fan right next to the microphone, but I've got some filters on, so you shouldn't be able to hear it. And also the fan's quite low key. Nebula says DeMarco or Dumfries or John Stones. Great question. In isolation, I'd say DeMarco's the best of the three, but I'm also backing Man City for the win, and if any team keeps a clean sheet, for me, it's going to be Man City. So I think John Stones, as a result, is the one that would start for me. Now, I'm in a bit of a predicament, should I say, because I've got Onana in goal, and I don't want to bring in Edison. So I'm going to be starting Onana. And if I also start DeMarco, that means I'll probably have 2 double-ups for Man City and Inter Milan. And I'm backing Man City a little bit more. So what I might just do is bench DeMarco and start John Stones. So that's what I'd recommend as well. Current transfer ideas. Well, in terms of my own team, it's what I discussed in the team selection video, but it all depends on the lineups. If Lukaku starts, then I'll buy him, and he might even start in my team. But a lot depends on the lineups. But at the moment, everything is the same from the team selection video. I don't, Siam. I did want Man City to win a few years ago against Chelsea. They didn't do it at that time. And look, Man City are the best team in the world right now. And if they do it today, they thoroughly deserve the treble. But I just want Inter Milan to do it. And Inter Milan, I've got a bit of a soft spot for them, I think, because of all the Argentinian players they've had over the past. So they're probably the one I'd lean more towards myself. But I do fully recognise Man City are the overwhelming favourites. Welcome, Musi. Good to see you as well. And thank you, Rock and Roll, for moderating the chat as well. Who to start, DeMarco or Akanji? Similar to what I said earlier, I think in isolation DeMarco is better, but it all depends on your team structure. If you've already got an Inter Milan defender or an Onana in goal, then I'd probably go for Akanji instead, and that's purely because I think that Man City will win the game and they've got a better chance of a clean sheet. So I would rather go for 3 Man City defenders and only go for 1 Inter Milan rather than 2 double ups. So as a result, I'd go for Akanji. Oh, fair enough, Hayden. You got me scared for a second, I won't lie, but yeah, I appreciate that. Limitless active, let's go. Yeah, I remember you said that, Gary, the other day. It might have been yesterday even, in the comment section of a video. That is good. I have to be honest, though, with the Limitless, you know, it's very easy to build the kind of best team for Matchday 13 and remaining in budget. So I think kind of for future reference, and it won't always be an Inter Milan versus Man City in the final, but it's kind of, it typically is easier to get the best team possible in Matchday 13 without using the Limitless. So I'd try to use it earlier. Even the semi-finals could be the trick, but maybe, you know, it's a kind of team-dependent thing and it wasn't right for you to use it earlier. But hopefully it goes well for you and you can pick up 1 or 2 players like a Mahrez if he starts who could do really well. Bastoni or Darmian? Good question. Darmian has been better in the knockout stages for me, but Bastoni more consistent over the course of the season. I think Bastoni is probably the one I'd slightly lean towards, but honestly, really close. I think Darmian's better for ball recoveries, but Bastoni's better for, you know, goal scoring chances and also for man of the match award. You know, if Inter Milan, let's say, keep a clean sheet or draw 1-1 and end up winning it, Bastoni could win man of the match, and he's much more likely than Darmian is. So I'd probably go for Bastoni. Thank you, Nebula. I appreciate it. You reckon a goalless 90 minutes? No, I don't think so. I think both teams score, actually. My current prediction is 3-1, but I will reassess that once we get the lineups. Who will start today, Akanji or Ake? Ake has arguably been Man City's best defender this season, but I think it'll be Akanji. Now, we'll find out in the next 20-30 minutes or so, but I would lean towards Akanji. I don't think Ake starts. Who to start, Darmian or DeMarco? Similar to what I said before, Darmian's better for ball recoveries, DeMarco is much better for attacking threat, and he also could be subbed off early, which could be a blessing or a curse, because if he's subbed off after 60 minutes and Inter Milan haven't conceded, then DeMarco can bank a clean sheet, and even if Inter go on to concede, it doesn't matter because you've got those clean sheet points banked. So I have a good feeling about DeMarco because of that. And despite all of that, I might even bench him. But from those two, probably DeMarco, simply because he could be subbed off just after 60 minutes and also has more attacking threat than Darmian. But I have to say, Darmian's much better for ball recoveries. Welcome, Luis. Dylan, debo remontar 16 puntos. ¿Quién crees es el mejor capitán? Para mí es Kevin De Bruyne y también depende de las alineaciones de los dos equipos, pero para mí es entre De Bruyne, Haaland y quizás un Gundogan o Lautaro Martínez. Ellos 4 son las mejores opciones y para mí Kevin De Bruyne es primero. Who are you captain, KDB or Haaland? At the moment, I'm leaning towards Kevin De Bruyne, which I discussed in my team selection video and also the Limitless / wildcard segment that I did. So I'd probably go for Kevin De Bruyne. Bernardo Silva or Rodri? Simply for attacking threat, I'd go for Bernardo, but I think typically over the course of a Champions League campaign, I'd rather have a Rodri who's more consistent. He gives you 4 or 5 points. What Bernardo has is the explosive potential. You got a double-digit return against Bayern. I think you got 11 points, and against Real Madrid, he got 16 to 18 points. That's the kind of high ceiling you want in a one-off game like the Champions League final. So I would go for Bernardo Silva. Nebula says, I might wait for the lineups to see if I should use Hakan Çalhanoğlu or Bernardo Silva. That's completely fair, and I think for everyone watching, I'd highly recommend waiting for the lineups before finalising your transfers and team. I prefer Çalhanoğlu in general. I think he's more consistent, but once again, it comes down to that explosive potential, and I think Bernardo Silva has that in abundance in UCL Fantasy. If I want just one Inter defender, what's your recommendation? DeMarco for me, simply because of the attacking threat and the ball, not the ball cover, sorry, the possibility of being sobbed off around 60 minutes, and if it happens just after 60 minutes, he can bank a potential clean sheet. That's what I like about him. In terms of ball recoveries, Darmian's the one. Bastoni's kind of your safe and stable 4-pointer option, but I think DeMarco is probably the most likely to get 6 points, so I'd go for him. Who to captain? Haaland, KDB or Lautaro? For me, Kevin De Bruyne, and it's really close. I might even change my mind once we get the lineups, but De Bruyne for me is the standout. He's got 4 Man of the Match awards. He's also got a lot of assists, some attacking returns as well, some goals, some key ones like the one against Madrid in the first leg. So I'd go for De Bruyne at the moment, Haaland second and Lautaro third. What City defender do you recommend other than Diaz? Probably John Stones. It's between him and Akanji, but I would lean towards John Stones. Thank you, Nebula. My Spanish isn't as good as my English. I do speak Spanish all the time at home, but I'd say English is a bit more natural. Musia says differential captain. Differential captain, I'm not so sure De Bruyne is a differential per se, but he won't be the most captained. Haaland will be. So if you want someone other than Haaland, I'd say Kevin De Bruyne. If you want a really, differential captain, I would say either Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, or Lautaro Martinez. Depending on which team you're backing, I would go for one of those three options. If you're backing Man City, I have a good feeling about Gundogan, and that's mainly because of his potential in big games. Thank you, Bruno. Last one, if you don't mind. Do you think Grealish is a good pick, or would you change him for Barella? That's a good question. Now, Grealish is a quality player, but he's not a goals or assist player. I know he has gotten a decent amount of assists this season, but he is not really a consistent fantasy asset. So I think it is worth changing him to a Barella, a Calhanoglu, even a Bernardo Silva or Gundogan, for example. But I look at these Man City and Inter Milan mids, and I'll be honest, apart from De Bruyne and Calhanoglu, the rest aren't too reliable in UCL Fantasy, which is demonstrated by the amount of points they've scored this season. I know Barella scored a decent amount, not too far off Calhanoglu, but I think Calhanoglu and De Bruyne have been the clear standouts in the knockout stages. So I think it is worth selling Grealish to one of those. And look, it can backfire, but Grealish isn't really the best fantasy option in my opinion. Would you take Bernardo? I think I will buy him, but once again, it depends on the lineups. If you're 4.3k in the world, do you think it's worth playing it safe to maintain top 5k rank, or would you still take some risks, mainly through captaincy? That's a great question, and I'm in a similar position. I'm in, around that 4.3k mark myself. Yeah, Hirthik, let me know if you don't hear me, or, it should be fine. But yeah, let me know if anyone else has any sound issues. But in terms of the question that Frostbite asked me, it all depends on what you're looking for. Now, I would probably just go for it and take some punts, because a lot of us will have similar teams anyway, and it might be worth going for a differential like a Gundogan who can make that difference and get you even higher than 4.3k. You could even feasibly be where I am or even higher. So I would probably, when you say play it safe, it all depends, because yes, you can still play it sensible, captain of De Bruyne or Haaland, but you could also bring in a differential or two like Gundogan and you could still be fine. So I think the right answer is a balance. And once again, it depends what you're looking for, but I would just kind of do a mixture. Keep on doing what you've been doing throughout the whole season. Don't just change it all of a sudden, but having one or two differentials won't hurt at all, in my opinion. Back in De Bruyne, Bernardo and Haaland, same here. And I think De Bruyne is the standout. That's why I probably will captain him. Is it necessary to take any hits in this final match week 13? No. I think the main appeal of hits is when you also have future game weeks or match days where it could possibly pay off. But in a one-off game, I don't think it's worth hits, because most people, if not all, maybe all is a bit of a stretch, but basically 90% I'd say of people watching this video and stream will not be taking a hit. So it might lead to a red arrow potentially, or make it more difficult for you to get that green arrow and the final rank that you want. So I don't think it's necessary to take a hit. Remember, you only need a starting 11. That's it. So unless you're struggling to get to 11, hits are not necessary at all. I want to captain Onana because I think Inter will not concede. I mean, that's a big call, because Man City, yeah, they didn't score against Brentford and against Tottenham, but apart from those two games I can think off the top of my head, they score in every single game this season pretty much. There might be one or two other examples where they haven't, maybe Southampton in the Carabao Cup, but typically Man City score goals, and I don't see Inter Milan keeping them out. If you feel differently, fair enough, and, if you have that kind of prediction, I think Onana is one of the best options to captain. The others might include the Marco as well, so it's not a bad shout, but I personally think Man City will score. Gundogan always produces in big matches. Like I said with Gundogan, he is the Man City midfielder besides Kevin De Bruyne that I would highly recommend. But in terms of the captaincy, it would be De Bruyne first, Haaland second, Lautaro Martinez third, and probably Gundogan fourth. But that's a really good shout. I think Gundogan is the best differential captain alongside Lautaro Martinez. I'd go for Man City defenders. I think in isolation, Inter Milan defenders are better. Darmian's very good for ball recoveries. You've also got DeMarco with the second most assists of any player in the Champions League, only behind Kevin De Bruyne. But I would go for Man City because I back them to win the competition. Barella or Bernardo? Probably Bernardo Silva, but it's a really close one. What's your opinion about Brozovic? He did score Inter Milan's last goal in Serie A this season against Torino, but he's not typically a great UCL fantasy option, so I do prefer Calhanoglu and also Barella if you want an Inter Milan midfielder, but you might have a good feeling about Brozovic, and why not? 8 City, So Stones, Diaz, Walker, KDB, Grealish, Bernardo, Gundogan, Haaland plus 3 Inter. Looks pretty good to me. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Dzeko, but facing his former club, he might have a bit more added motivation and it could be a decent shout. I think the one Inter Milan player you might be missing, apart from DeMarco, is Calhanoglu in the midfield, but it's a really good team in general. But I have to say, I prefer Calhanoglu over Grealish, and instead of Dzeko, I might even prefer a fourth defender. So you're looking at maybe... I'm looking at your team. So you've got an on already. You could maybe go for yet another Man City defender like a Kanji, or you could go for another midfielder entirely. But, you've pretty much got a spot-on team. Gundogan seems the man for the occasion. Yeah, it looks like he is. And look, he's a great shout, I think, for this Champions League final. I'm looking to buy Bernardo Silva. I've already got Gundogan in. Didn't do too well for me in Matchday 12, but I'm expecting something in this Champions League final. Rodri out for Silva. It's a tough one because I think Rodri is more consistent. He gives you 4-5 points every single match day, but Bernardo Silva has the high ceiling in UCL Fantasy, and that's why it could be worth that transfer. But honestly, it could go either way, and it's really tricky to tell. But I definitely wouldn't do it for a hit. That's without a shadow of a doubt. Welcome, Soldier Boy. I hope you're well too. Thank you very much for asking. I reckon both teams concede. I agree. Probably the reason why I'm going to play a back three. Yeah, that is true. I mean, it's difficult to predict because if you look a few years ago, Man City against Chelsea, Man City were the favourites, and a lot of us would have maybe played, let's say, Ederson in goal, and then maybe one Chelsea defender, two other City, defenders, and then kind of going all in on City in the midfield and attack. And guess what? Chelsea won the game, and Man City didn't even score a goal. And you never know what can happen in football. I think Man City are more complete than they were a few years ago, and unless Pep Guardiola overthinks terribly like he did on that occasion, Man City have a really good chance of securing the treble. But I agree. I think both teams will concede, but you would give Man City the edge. I think Dzeko will start today. I agree. A lot of reports do indicate that. Football Italia is one of them. I'm not saying they're the most reliable source, but I would expect Dzeko to start. So, look, it's not confirmed yet. We'll find out very soon. So hold off of your transfers, but I think Dzeko will start. Thoughts on Alvarez? I don't think he'll start, but what he can do is come off the bench and make an impact. It would not surprise me if it's kind of locked in 1-1, 0-0, 2-2. Whatever the score may be, and Alvarez comes on and kills off the game. It would not surprise me at all. He's got so much quality, deserves to start more games, and I think he's a really good option off the bench. So that's the kind of problem we have as well when we're going into this Champions League final. You probably want to go to the striker that starts, like Dzeko, but even an Alvarez could outscore him, and even Haaland coming off the bench. So it's going to be very interesting. Is it better to play 3-5-2 or 3-4-3? It depends on the players in question. So it could come down to a Lukaku or Alvarez versus a Barella, for example. And if Lukaku starts, I'd probably lean more towards a 3-4-3. But I think the lineups will basically give us that final confirmation of the best formation. Yeah, Nebula, try not to spam the chat. I appreciate, obviously, that you are, waiting for your question to be answered. But trust me, it's normally much worse than this, and we have many more questions. But just try not to spam. Darmian, Bastoni, or Dumfries? From those three, I'd probably go for Bastoni, but it's really close between him and Darmian. Current transfer plans. It's basically what I said in the team selection video. So bringing in a striker, probably Lukaku. If he starts, if he doesn't, then I might just go for Dzeko or Alvarez. And then bringing in Bernardo Silva, Barella, potentially, and some Man City defenders like John Stones and Akanji, and then going for an entire back three of Man City defenders. It's all covered in that video. Gundogan 95% will play, considering it'll be his last City game. It's very likely to be his last City game, but City also want to extend his contract. I think there have been some really reliable reports from even a month or two ago saying that he will be given an extension. And after this season, there's no reason for them to not offer it or to want Gundogan to stay. He's their most clutch player, I'd say. So let's wait and see. But he's heavily linked with Barcelona, a move to Saudi Arabia, even Arsenal. I just don't see that happening, though, unfortunately. But yeah, if it is the last Man City game, he's going to start 100%. Lineups are out. We'll check that out very soon. And welcome, Dave. Greetings to you, and thank you very much for watching. Do you think Ake will play, says Soldier Boy? No, but we've got the lineups now, so I could be wrong. Score predictions for today, 3-1 Man City, but I'm going to reassess now after seeing the lineup. Sorry. So you can see my current squad. I haven't made my transfers yet, but I would highly recommend waiting. Once we've seen the lineups, then we can make our final decisions. Let me just make that a bit better. Let's see. Yeah, that's right. All right, let's now move on to the lineups. I think they're already out. Yes, they are. So For Man City, Ederson in goal, Ruben Dias, John Stones, Ake starts, Gundogan, Haaland, Grealish, Rodri, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva and Akanji. So that is Man City starting 11. Just trying to think if there's any kind of surprise. Not really. I'm trying to think. Yeah, Kyle Walker's the one that's not starting. Ake comes in. John Stones is the right back. So that is Man City's best 11. And as for Inter Milan, they've gone for Onana in goal, Dumfries, Dzeko, Lautaro Martinez, Acerbi, Calhanoglu, Barella, DeMarco, Darmian, Brozovic and Bastoni. So apart from maybe Ake coming in for Walker, no surprises at all. But if we think about it, a month or two ago when Ake didn't get that injury against Bayern Munich, we all would have expected Ake to start in every single game because he was Man City's best player, arguably, for the entire season. So there we go. We've got the two strongest lineups available for Man City Inter. Lukaku is on the bench. And once again, Dzeko starts in the Champions League. He is the Champions League player for them this season. So those are the lineups. They already confirmed. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat. And be sure to like the video as well. Subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, you can also become a patron or a channel member. The link's on the description below. You can click the join button next to my username too. You can send in super chats and you can send in super thanks. Thank you very much to everyone who's been doing that all season. So yeah, both of them start. I would lean towards Akanji still. I think he's slightly better for ball recoveries. I could be wrong about that. But as much as I think Ake is a better player, I think Akanji's the better UCL fantasy option. Would you do Bastoni to DeMarco? Not so sure about that because Bastoni is more likely to give you something, so 4 points or more. With DeMarco, what he could do is come off a bit early. So even if Inter Milan concede around 70, 80 minutes, he might have been subbed off before that even happens and lock in that clean sheet. He's also got the assist threat. He's got 5 assists this season, the most of any defender. But I don't think it's necessarily worth a transfer. Yeah, Edison's a decent choice, but I prefer Onana. If you want a goalkeeper, Onana has this high ceiling. He's got the saves as well. If both teams concede, you would back Onana to get more points. Gundogan or Bernardo? Probably Gundogan in my opinion. Grealish, Barella, Dzeko. From those three, I'd lean more towards a close one. Probably Dzeko, but it's really, really close. What's the max City players allowed? So once we get to the final, you are allowed 8 players from a single team, no more. Whether it's Man City, Inter Milan or any team, you can only have 8 players. So really, if you've got a 50-man squad and you can build, an entire 50-man squad full of players available for the final, you can have 8 Man City players and 7 Inter Milan or vice versa. So yeah, I think having 8 Man City players is the play. Just join my man. Any surprise on the lineups? Just Ake coming in for Walker, I guess. And it's not really a big surprise, but considering Ake hasn't played too much in the last month or so, that's maybe where the surprise element comes in. But Ake has been tremendous this season. Best player to captain today? Probably De Bruyne, in my opinion. It's between him, Haaland, and I'd say Lautaro Martinez. And if you're looking for a really good differential, Gundogan could also come into play, Bernardo Silva. Those are my top 5, I think. But I think my top 2 is De Bruyne and Haaland, and it's just about nailing that one down. But those are the lineups. We have got them already. We'll come back to this very soon. But just for confirmation, we'll also go on live score. These are the lineups and the formation. So you can see Man City with a kind of 3-2-4-1 formation. Inter Milan with a 3-5-2. So it should be a fascinating contest, I have to say. 2 completely different styles. Inzaghi, I don't think, has lost a single final in his career. Pep Guardiola's only lost once, and that was to Jose Mourinho during his time at Real Madrid. So yeah, it should be a fantastic game. Actually, I just forgot. Pep Guardiola also lost the Champions League final against Chelsea, but we don't talk about that over here. Bernardo, Calhanoglu. Bernardo has a high ceiling, but I prefer Calhanoglu as a UCL fantasy option, so I'm going to go for him. Acerbi or Stones? I would go for John Stones. I back Man City a little bit more. John Stones is a slightly better option in general, in my opinion. Got more goal threat, more assist threat, and also more likely to get a Man of the Match award or some ball recoveries feasibly. So it's close. I don't think Acerbi's a bad option at all, but I'd go for John Stones. So yeah, we'll go back to that team very, very soon. This is how my squad looks like without using any transfers. And very soon I'll show you how my team looks like with some transfer plans. I don't think much has changed, but maybe instead of Lukaku, I'm going to bring in Alvarez or Edin Dzeko as my third forward. And then it all comes down to the starting 11. Do we go for a 3-4-3, a 3-5-2? 4 defenders? Do we go for 5 defenders? I don't think I'm going to go that way, just to make that clear. I think for me, it's all down to 3 or 4 defenders, or do I go for 2 or 3 forwards? That's what it really ultimately comes down to for me and the captaincy. Best Man City 2 defenders, Ruben Dias and John Stones. Best captaincy choice, Lautaro, Haaland, KDB or Gundogan. We just covered that. So for me, it's De Bruyne, but it's a really close call between him and Haaland. And then after that, it would be Lautaro and Gundogan. In terms of wildcard choices, it's all covered in the wildcard video. Not much has changed there. Maybe instead of Lukaku, I would go for Alvarez or Edin Dzeko, but everything else would stay the same. Stones or Gundogan? It's a close one, really, really close one. Probably Gundogan because I think both teams score and Gundogan's great in these big games. Should I captain Bernardo Silva? If you're looking for a differential, I think Bernardo Silva, Gundogan or Lautaro is the way to go. But I'd rather captain De Bruyne or Haaland. Do you think Lukaku will come off the bench? Yes, especially if Inter Milan are trailing the game. Best attacking defenders, DeMarco is definitely the best one there. Bernardo or Barella? Probably Bernardo Silva. Edison or Onana? Onana for sure. Could you do a captaincy poll? Yeah, I can do that. Also, if you check my channel, I've already done a captaincy poll, which would have been up for a few hours now. So we'll have even more votes than any poll we put up here. So if you want, check that out as well. I can even show you right now, actually. If that, satisfies you, then that's fair enough. If not, we'll just make a poll right now in the live chat. So if I just refresh my community tab page, and if you subscribe to the channel, you'll have access and notifications for all of these polls that I put. So I made a few of these. So triple up on Man City defensively or 2 defensive double ups. And 56% of you have gone for 2 defensive double ups with Onana, DeMarco, Diaz, and John Stones. In terms of the forward to partner Haaland and Lautaro Martinez, 41% of you have voted for Lukaku, but maybe this will change once you've seen the lineups. In terms of the Matchday 13 captain, which is what Matt just asked, Haaland leads the way with almost 50% of the vote. De Bruyne is second, Lautaro Martinez is joint third with Gundogan, and Calhanoglu is in 5th position. To be fair, as much as I think Calhanoglu is a better option than Bernardo Silva, if I were to choose a captain, I'd be more inclined to go with Bernardo Silva because I back Man City more in this one-off game. In terms of the formation as well, which was the first poll I put out today, I think. No, it was my second one, actually. 3-5-2 is leading the way with over 50% of the vote. 3-4-3 is second, 4-4-2 third, 4-3-3 is fourth, and in last position, 5-3-2. I don't blame any of you whatsoever for not voting that one too much. And in terms of the score prediction, most of you have voted for Man City to win by 2 goals. Then it's Inter Milan to win by 1, Man City to win by 3, Man City to win by 1, and extra time and penalties, both joint last. But most of you are predicting Man City to win by 2, just like myself. It might be a bit tighter than that. It could even go to extra time and penalties or in extra time, and then Man City end up winning by 2. But it's going to be an interesting game. Anything can happen, but most likely Man City will win, won't they? Who would Alvarez come off the bench for? Probably De Bruyne if he tires off, or they might change formation completely and you might see someone like Bernardo Silva or Grealish come off. But I think feasibly, De Bruyne is the one that most likely would come off. What is your transfer plan? It's all covered in the team selection video. Not much has changed really, apart from Lukaku. Instead of him, I might just go for Alvarez / Edin Dzeko. The problem with Alvarez, though, is if I decide to go for him, I might have to sacrifice one of the Man City defenders I'm looking to bring in. Yeah, wildcard I think could be pretty decent today. What do you think will be the final score? I've gone for 3-1, and I might stick with that. Calhanoglu or Rodri? Calhanoglu. Captaincy, I'm going for Kevin De Bruyne, I think. It's kind of a close one, though. Most people will go for Haaland, especially those that aren't engaged in UCL Fantasy on YouTube and Twitter. So kind of just the casual player will go for Haaland, and that might just be the simple and effective answer. But I have a sneaky feeling about Kevin De Bruyne. Rodri or Akanji? I would go for Akanji there. Just because for a clean sheet, you only get 1 point for Rodri, and for Akanji, you would get 4. Yeah, we've already covered both teams, El Padrino. Thank you for that. We have covered both lineups. We'll probably go back to it right now. So you can see both lineups here on the UEFA website, also on live score, SofaScore, whatever you use. Both teams are already out, and not really any surprises apart from Ake coming back in and Kyle Walker making way. Got Rodri and Alvarez and 1 transfer. I'm thinking of Dzeko or Grealish. From those 2, I would lean more towards Dzeko. All final results since 2019 was 1-0 to the champion team. Yeah, Bayern Munich against PSG, Chelsea against Man City, Real Madrid against Liverpool. That is true. Most of these finals tend to be very, very cagey. That is a great shout. Barella or Bernardo? I'd go for Bernardo Silva. We have covered this already. Akanji or Stones? I would go for Stones. Well, Bruno, like I already covered, I'm looking to go for 3 Man City defenders anyway. So The reason why I'm doing that is because I back both teams to score, but if I had to lean more towards one team, it's Man City. So the way I'm going to go about it is start Onana and then go for 3 Man City defenders. So I'm still covering 3 of my 4 defensive coverage with Man City, and with Onana, if both teams concede, I back Onana to get more save points and more points overall as a result. Is Stones the best City defender to get? I think Ruben Dias is, with John Stones second. Can you give me an Inter Milan midfielder other than Calhanoglu? I'd say Barella then. Onana will get today -2. You'd have to concede 4 goals or something ridiculous like that, not make many saves, or get a yellow card, score an own goal, get a red card or something like that for that to happen. So, look, you might be right, but I just don't see him getting -2 points per se. Sell Barella and buy who? I think Barella's a decent option. I'm actually looking to buy him in, but I think Gundogan, Bernardo Silva could be great transfers. Thank you, El Padrino. Is it risky going all in on one team, or is it a bad fantasy practice? It's a great question. Now, I'll be honest, with Champions League finals, since I've been making videos in UCL Fantasy, since the 2020-21 season, I've always gotten it wrong in the final, because I think in the PSG Bayern one, I had a bit of a balance. I lean more towards Bayern Munich, but I captained the wrong player. It was Koeman in the end who did the business. I think I captained Lewandowski. And also, when I look at Chelsea City, I mainly back City there. I think I went for 7-8 players, only 3 or 4 of Chelsea, and that backfired as well. Liverpool Madrid, I think I backed Madrid, but yeah, I still got the captaincy wrong there as well. So it's really difficult, I think. But look, when you're completely convinced about something, you've got to back your gut. And it might seem a bit too obvious for Man City to win, but they are the best team in the world. And as good as Inter Milan have been, especially in the last month or two, 11 wins in the last 12 games across all competitions, you'd still back Man City to win. And in my opinion, you might as well back your gut and go for more players from the team you're backing to win. So it doesn't mean you have to go for 10 players or 11 from Man City, but I would say 6, 7, maybe 8 from Man City is the way I'd go about it. Rodri will have recoveries. Yeah, I agree. I think Rodri will get 4 points minimum, but when you also compare that to Akanji, if you are backing Man City to keep a clean sheet, then Akanji is probably the one to go for. Akanji or Diaz, I would go for Ruben Dias. I think he's the best Man City defender, period. Play 8 City players and 3 Milan, maybe. Maybe 7-4 is the best way to go, and you go for Onana, Calhanoglu, Lautaro Martinez, and DeMarco. That might be the best way, but maybe what you said is right, and I might do the same thing as well. Darmian or DeMarco? I'd probably go for DeMarco, but Darmian is better for ball recoveries, whilst DeMarco has more attacking threat with 5 assists in this season's Champions League. Quiero jugar 4-5-1. ¿Sentarías a Lautaro? Para mí no. Mira, si vos quieres jugar 5 mediocampistas y para hacer eso tienes que poner a Lautaro Martínez en el banquillo. Mira, es tu opinión, es tu equipo, pero para mí Lautaro Martínez tiene que empezar el partido porque él tiene la mayor posibilidad de hacer algo para Inter Milan. Así que yo pondría a él. Oh, bloody hell, why are they doing this? They're putting a live stream and they're now literally going to put a copyright strike. Let me just go back to my team just in case and prevent that from happening, let's say. But yeah, I wouldn't go for a 4-5-1, Carlos. I think it's not really worth it to bench Lautaro Martinez. Onana has double saves than Ederson. Exactly, and whilst Ederson has conceded the least goals per game in the Champions League this season with 0.4, and Onana has conceded 0.8, I still think Onana is the better goalkeeper to start. Yeah, now the live chat is livening up a little bit. I'll try to keep up. What about Brozovic? I mentioned him before. He scored the last goal for Inter Milan this season against Torino in a 1-0 victory, but he's not the best Inter Milan asset, especially in the midfield, so not for me. Inter defenders will stick with Haaland more than other City players, so Haaland's scoring chances are a bit low, I think. Well, if you think about it, and we discussed this in the other videos too, Haaland hasn't scored a single goal in any of the semi-finals or finals Man City have played this season. The Community Shield against Liverpool, the FA Cup final against Man United, the semi-finals against Madrid, and also the one against Sheffield United. So it wouldn't surprise me at all, but I still think Haaland will score today, but maybe not that hat-trick that we're typically used to by him. Between Rodri and Barella, maybe Rodri. I have KDB, Hakan, Calhanoglu, Gundogan and Barella, so should I just keep Barella? That's a good midfield, I think that's fine. However, if you're asking me, I probably would opt more towards Bernardo Silva, because in a one-off game, I think Bernardo is more likely to score, give you that kind of big return. So if you were to make a transfer, it would be Barella to Bernardo Silva. Ake or Akanji, I'd go for Akanji. Yeah, the lineups are out. That's what we covered. Sell Calhanoglu for Brozovic? No chance. I think Calhanoglu is the superior asset. It's completely up to you. Play the game the way you want, but I think Calhanoglu is better. It's up to you, Nebula, but I would go for what I'm looking to do is go for Onana in goal and then go for John Stones, Ruben Dias, and Akanji. That's what I'm looking to do. Ake's been the best City defender this season. Yeah, I completely agree. That's why I say the only reason it's a surprise that he's in the starting 11 is because he hasn't played too much in the last month or so. Yeah, I think on paper, Gary, that is the best way to go about it. But even 8-3 or 6-5 could be fine as well. It's really difficult, I think, to nail on the final. And that's why having a differential or two won't hurt at all. Onana, mate, because yes, Ederson might have a better chance of a clean sheet and of winning the Champions League final, but Onana makes more saves. And what you can do is go for Onana in goal and then 3 or 4 Man City defenders. I'd go for Calhanoglu over Barella. We have covered this already. Do you think Inter has a chance? Yeah, look, in any Champions League final or any cup final, you know, you have a chance if you reach it, but it's like a 10% chance if we're being realistic. Man City are the better team, and they most likely have already secured the treble. You know, back when Arsenal started crumbling in the Premier League, that's when I already got this kind of feeling that Man City would win it all. And now I'm even more confident than ever. But hopefully Inter Milan can do something and provide us a good game at least. Based on the lineups, who do you think is going to win? Man City. I think with Ake, they're even stronger. And look, Inter Milan might score, but I see City winning by a goal or two. Barella or Dzeko? Probably Dzeko, but it's a really close call. I might even go for Barella and start him instead, but I think Dzeko is probably the one. Grealish or Barella? Grealish is more likely to give you an attack in return, but even then, he's not a reliable UCL fantasy option. I'll talk about this later on, but it's all what I discussed in my team selection video. I might change one of those transfers, really. Gundogan will score at least one, maybe, or at least get an assist. 2-5-3-1. Yeah, technically, if we're being a bit technical about the Man City formation. Start 3 from DeMarco, Bastoni, Stones, Dias. I'm looking at something similar. I'd go for Dias, Stones, and DeMarco. KDB, Gundogan, or Haaland captain. I'm currently going for KDB, but Gundogan is more of a differential for you. Good luck, Messi Monkey. I mean, look, obviously Man City are the best team at the moment, and if Man City turn up today and they win it, they thoroughly deserve the treble. I do prefer Inter Milan, though, for today's final. Hopefully they can do it. Onana, Stones, Ake, Dias, Silva, Gundogan, Rodri, Hakan Calhanoglu, KDB, Haaland, and Martinez. That's a solid lineup. I'm trying to think of any ways to improve it. And honestly, apart from Rodri I don't even know at this point, because that's a really good lineup anyway. Honestly, I think that arguably is the best 11 you can put out. And I'm looking at something similar. You could maybe make a case for a DeMarco or maybe another Man City defender like Akanji being better than Ake, but honestly, that's a really good 11. Brozovic or Bernardo? I'd go for Bernardo Silva. Should I keep Alvarez or Lukaku in my starting 11? Probably Alvarez. Even coming off the bench, I think he's more likely to score than Lukaku. No, Ortega's not playing. The lineups are out. We've covered them already. Ederson is starting. Best City defender besides Stones? I think Ruben Dias is the best defender, so that's my answer. Darmian or Acerbi? Darmian. Lukaku or Dzeko? I would go for Edin Dzeko. Who would be the best captain? In my opinion, KDB. We've covered this already. 3-4-3 or 3-5-2. Based on the lineups, I'd say 3-5-2, I think. But I'm even considering a 4-4-2. Thank you, Oramara. I appreciate that. It's good to hear as well. It's been a long while since we've done FPL content. Pretty much 2 weeks ago at this point. And look, I wanted to do reaction stream and a kind of, what's it called, a season review, which we did last season. But I think most people want to kind of switch off at this point. So this is the final piece of content for the entire season. There might be a bit of a break, but I think FPL should release fairly soon, within the next month or so. And we'll get back to FPL content very soon. Thank you, Chat Sport. Hopefully I can go up even more, and the same goes for you and everyone else watching. I actually got to 800 in the world last season, which is my best ever rank in any fantasy game. Unfortunately, I won't be able to reach that unless something miraculous happens today, but I'm still quite happy with where I am. Maybe Rodri to Grealish. Yeah, look, if you're looking for a bit more of an offensive player, then that is the way to go. But I think Rodri will get more points than Grealish. Should I start with 5 mids or keep Barella in sub and bring in a defender? Honestly, FIFA bots, I'd probably bring in a defender and go for another Man City option. So what you could do is go for a back four of DeMarco, John Stones, Akanji and Ruben Dias, Onana in goal, and then go for your 4 midfielders and 2 attackers. Select 3, Akanji, Stones, DeMarco, Dias. I would go for... assuming you have an Onana in goal, I would go for the 3 Man City defenders in Akanji, Stones and Dias. Top 3 defenders to go from Inter, City. So from Inter Milan, the top 3 defenders in order would be DeMarco, Bastoni and Darmian. From Man City, it would be Ruben Dias, John Stones and Akanji. Thoughts about benching Lukaku? Well, Lukaku's been in great form, but in the Champions League, it has been Dzeko starting the game, so it's not a big surprise. And in terms of UCL fantasy prospects, it does limit his chances of scoring, of course. So I'm less keen on him now than I was when I made the videos the other day. DeMarco or Bastoni or Akanji. Individually, I think DeMarco's the best, but it all depends on your goalkeeper and your team structure. If you've already got Onana in goal, I would go for Akanji. Dzeko or Alvarez? It's a great question. I'd probably lean towards Alvarez, to be fair. But I might go for Dzeko just because I've already got, I feasibly would have 8 Man City players already, and I'd have to drop one of them to bring in Alvarez as well. I appreciate that, Wajahat, but look, it's all down to you, and hopefully you made your own teams and stuff because, yeah, like I always say to people, if you are copying or whatever, I think you can do even better if you do your own thing, but it's good to hear that you're doing really well. Best Inter defender, DeMarco, in my opinion. Yeah, 4-4-2 might be the play, Gary. Even though most of us would back both teams to score, I think a 4-4-2 could be the one. All good, Wajahat. What about you? I was in the sun. That's why I normally start the stream 2 hours before the deadline. I started this one around 6:15. I just came back home. Maybe it was a bit of a mistake to go out in the sun because I got a bit of a headache now, but that'll be all fine, and we can enjoy the Champions League final. KDB 100 points incoming. Not about 100 points. 10 is possible for sure. You should do Bundesliga fantasy as well. I'm not so sure, to be honest, because with these fantasy games that I, make videos on, even F1 fantasy at one point, it's something that I kind of watch regularly. With the Bundesliga, I rarely watch it, especially nowadays. It was, if anything, I watched it more 10 years ago, but right now, not really too interested or invested for me to make videos, to give you enough insight and also, I don't know, enough tips and these kind of things that I can pick up for UCL Fantasy and FPL. Thank you, Toronto. It's good to hear. I did my first season, 2,250 points. Really good stuff. Missed the first 2 weeks. Started in week 3. Mate, if you started the first 2 weeks, you easily could have got to 240, maybe even more. So that's a really good way to start your season and your FPL career, per se. So that's really good. Alan Washer. Maybe I shouldn't read out some of the names, by the way, just in case someone has something to throw you off. But if I get 5 points over someone in my league, I get a free jersey. What jersey is it, though? That's what it depends. If it's like a Arsenal jersey, it's well worth it. But maybe that's a bit biased. 3 City defenders or 2 City, 1 Inter? Depends on your goalkeeper. If you've got Onana in goal, I'd go for 3 City defenders. If you've got Edison in goal, then I would go for 2 City and 1 Inter. Start Onana or Edison? Onana. Joe Thurgood puts his team. My current team is Onana, Diaz, DeMarco, Dumfries, Darmian, KDB, Hakan, Çalhanoğlu, Grealish, Rodri, Haaland, and Lautaro. It's a good team, but I think you have too much Inter Milan defensive coverage. Now, if you're backing Inter Milan to win or to keep a clean sheet, keep it. But I would personally go for a Ruben Diaz, or you've already got him, to be fair, a John Stones and a Kanji. Sorry, even a Nathan Ake, and start to sell some of these players, like Dumfries, for example, or your other defender that you have on the bench, and then bring them in the starting 11 for a Darmian or a DeMarco. So I think that's what I would do. I'd lean more towards Man City winning the game, so I would probably change your defensive structure. The rest is completely fine, although, once again, instead of Grealish, I prefer Gundogan and Bernardo Silva. Will Barella score? It's possible. He's a really good player. I think he's Inter Milan's best player, actually. Then you're probably saying Lautaro Martinez, but I don't think so. He can, but I don't think he will. 4-man midfield or 3-man midfield? I'd say 4-man midfield. So Kevin De Bruyne, Çalhanoğlu, Gundogan, and Bernardo Silva is probably the best 4 you can build. KDB, Gundogan, or Silva for captain? KDB for me. By the way, yeah, the live chat is getting to what we're normally used to, which is really, really busy. So I appreciate those that are waiting. Try not to spam the chat and your question will be answered. Just try to be patient because I'm trying to go through every single question. And yeah, we are literally just an hour away from kickoff. And yeah, thank you, Tremor for reminding me. Don't forget the predictor. That is true. I want to hear your thoughts in the live chat. What do you think the score will be? Who do you think is going to be man of the match as well? Who's going to score first in terms of the team? So do you think Inter score first or Man City? Let me know. We'll go to the predictor very soon. And if you haven't played already, maybe for next season, check it out. UCL Fantasy, the gaming hub for UEFA, have a lot of different games, including the brackets. They've got the also the predictor. They've got UCL Fantasy itself. So check it out. By the way, I'm not sponsored by them. It's literally just for your own entertainment. Hi, Dylan. Just for fun, 11 players from City. I mean, fair enough. Hopefully you jinxed them, Antonio. Hopefully you do. Messi Monkey says, I went for Onana, Stones, Acerbi, Diaz, Akanji, KDB, Gundogan, Rodri, Barella, Grealish, Haaland. I like it. Once again, like I said to someone else, I don't think Grealish is the best midfielder per se. I prefer Çalhanoğlu, also Bernardo Silva, but it is a good team overall, and I think it will do well. Yeah, KDB captain. I'm also looking to do the same thing. Onana or Edison? I would go for Onana. Yeah, I think so. Let me just go now to... Hopefully I've got the right screen up. Okay, yeah, that is the right one. Good, good. So let me now go to this. So now instead of Lukaku, I am possibly going to go for either Edin Dzeko or Julian Alvarez. I don't think either of them will particularly get a great score, but what I'm kind of leaning more towards now is starting Onana, going for Ruben Dias, Akanji, Stones in the defence, and then going for De Bruyne, Calhanoglu, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, Haaland and Martinez. And then it all comes down to that final spot. Do I go for the third striker, the fifth midfielder, or the fourth defender? And that's what's really irking me, I'd say. And what I might do, actually, is locking these first 4 transfers and then, you know, decide on the final one later on. So maybe for now, I might just leave that for the time being. I might just lock in Bernardo Silva, Akanji, John Stones, etc. And then after this, what I'd have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Man City players, and I've got space for one more, whether I go for Edison in goal, Alvarez up front, or yet another Man City midfielder. So actually, I think Barella I'm not too keen on yet, but Bernardo Silva, Akanji, Stones, that is all fine. So if we just quickly look at the lineups once again, just to, you know, recap a little bit. Don't even dare show that dumb video. So yeah, just for those of you that are new to the live chat, Edison, Akanji, Ruben Dias, Ake, Stones, Rodri, Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne, Gundogan, Grealish, and Haaland is the starting 11 for Man City, so no Kyle Walker. As for Inter Milan, no Lukaku, as Edin Dzeko starts up top with Lautaro Martinez, a midfield 5 of DeMarco, Calhanoglu, Brozovic, Barella, and Dumfries, a back 3 of Bastoni, Acerbi, and Darmian, and Onana in goal. So not too many surprises there. What I'm looking to do at the moment is bring in Akanji, John Stones, and also Bernardo Silva, and then it comes down to those final 2 transfers for me. So if we go back to my transfer screen, I'm going to lock in these transfers, I think, of Stones, Akanji, and Bernardo Silva, and then I'll leave the last, 58 minutes or so to debate the final 2 transfers. So yeah, Vinicius, Eder Militao, Tomori out for Bernardo, Akanji, and John Stones. Let's just confirm that for now, and I'll make the other transfers fairly soon too. So let me just refresh the page here and go back to the transfer section. Okay, so yeah, there you go. And that also helps. You can also see the players starting with the green icon. That indicates they're in the starting 11. If we now go to the team selection page. So yeah, this is how it looks. I am looking to, yeah, let's just sort this out right now for the time being. So I'm going to bring in Akanji in the starting 11. I'm also going to bring in John Stones. And at the moment, I am going to bench Darmian, although he is the best for ball recoveries. Doesn't really matter about the bench order really, but let's just do that. All right, so that is my current team, only using 3 of my 5 free transfers. I've got still 2 left in the bank. Kevin De Bruyne is my captain, and my current starting 11 is Onana, John Stones, Ruben Dias, Akanji, DeMarco, De Bruyne, Calhanoglu, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, and Haaland and Lautaro Martinez up front. To be honest, this could be the best way to cover both teams, but I think in terms of some players I'm missing, either an Alvarez or Edin Dzeko up front, and also in the defense, I think Darmian's pretty decent, but I also think, I mean, who am I actually missing? When I look at it, this is actually a really good team, and I'm quite happy with this being my final starting 11. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat as well, and like I said earlier, be sure to keep on plugging away with the likes. I'll have a quick look at where we're at right now to try set a new objective in that regard. So we've got over 280 people watching, almost 300, only 50 likes. Be sure to keep on racking up the likes, and let's try to get this stream to over 200. We've still got an hour left to reach that goal. It'd be a great way to wrap up this Champions League season, and this is the final piece of content for the entire 2022-23 campaign. So be sure to keep on doing that, and also subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get as close to 19k as possible. Stones versus Ake versus Darmian. I would go for Stones first, Ake second, Darmian third. I think Darmian's the best for ball recoveries, but I back Man City more for the win and the clean sheet. Look, Lukaku's not a bad option. He's still decent, and he's been in great form. I think he's got 9 goals, 6 assists in 16 games, but I don't think he is the one to go for necessarily. Why Mahrez is getting less playing time than other seasons? I think he's gradually being eased out. I mean, the thing is with Pep Guardiola, he's so difficult to predict. And even in years gone by, Mahrez might have started in the Champions League but being benched in the Premier League. And this season, it might have been a bit of the other way around. So, look, it's really difficult to tell with Pep Guardiola, but I think Mahrez isn't really in the first team. He's not really considered that first team player for him. Rodri or Gundogan? Gundogan for the attacking threat, pure and simply. Dzeko o Rodri. Es muy difícil porque Rodri es muy bueno para las recuperaciones de la pelota o el balón. Yo pondría a Edin Dzeko simplemente por el hecho que yo pienso que los dos equipos van a hacer un gol. Así que yo pondría a Edin Dzeko. Onana or Ederson. I think both don't keep a clean sheet. Onana, because Onana has more saves, more high ceiling, more potential. So I'd go for Onana as a result. This one is going to make me fall asleep. Yeah, literally. I mean, I'm probably falling asleep right now. If it wasn't for the coffee I had, the iced latte, I'd probably be asleep right now. Barella or Rodri? Rodri. Start Akanji or Bastoni or DeMarco? Akanji, but once again, it all depends on your goalkeeper. So for any of these questions that people put in future, I mean, it's not a big deal, but just it kind of helps with me giving the answer. Let me know which goalkeeper you have as well and what your other defenders are, because that also plays a part, in my opinion, of the way to go about it. Because for me, starting one Inter Milan defender is probably the best way to go, and then going for 3 Man City. If not, if you're going for a back four, maybe go for 2 Inter Milan and then 3 Man City. Yeah, I'd go for Onana, like I said, Aditya. Captain KDB or Silva, I'd go for KDB. In terms of formation, I'm kind of leaning towards 4-4-2 at the moment, to be honest. Barella or Hakan Çalhanoğlu? Hakan Çalhanoğlu. Barella or Rodri? I would go for Rodri. Create a gaming channel, FIFA PC or FIFA Mobile. Yeah, I sometimes play pro clubs with my mates, and there is a lot of banter when someone misses a chance and stuff like that. I'll be honest, I hate FIFA. Really gets on my nerves. And look, sometimes I make a mistake, and, because of the frustration of the game, I might start, just kind of, I'll make a mistake, but I'll blame the game. But sometimes I have to say, in my opinion, the game is just absolute trash. And honestly, you just hear me whining all the time. I'm not so sure people want to hear that. Talha says anyone. We have covered it now, so let me know if you heard it. Raja says 3-4-3 formation for me. Onana, DeMarco, Diaz, Damian, KDB, Çalhanoğlu, Rodri, Gundogan, Haaland, Martinez, and Dzeko. I like it. I'll be honest, I like it. The only problem I might have with it is that you have triple Inter Milan defence, and I think Man City will score at least a goal or two. So that's my only issue with the team. Dumfries or Bastoni? I'd go for Bastoni. Fair enough, Trummer Kid. Well, you're a Bournemouth fan. That's good to hear. I don't think we've had a Bournemouth fan publicly declare, should I say, their allegiance to Bournemouth. But yeah, look, come on. There's nothing wrong with Arsenal jersey apart from the fact they're overpriced. I get to pick the jersey. That's good. That is really good, to be fair. And I know I'm really far behind, by the way. Oh my god, I've been lost in a sea of messages. I'll try to go for. Yeah, okay, Rod Mac. I saw that. Oh my god. Pep has flavours of the season, says Tremor Kid. Lautaro or Dzeko, says Zaid. Lautaro, for sure. Barella or Rodri? I'd go for Rodri. Onana, for me, is the answer. He is the best goalkeeper. Barella, Rodri or Çalhanoğlu? Çalhanoğlu. Thank you, Marco. I appreciate the kind words. Thanks a lot for your help and advice this season, Dylan, in UCL and FPL. Being at 806 in UCL is largely down to you. That's amazing, by the way. 806. I think last season when I finished around 800 or 780, that's literally where you are right now. So you could go one step further and do even better. So good luck. Hopefully you can secure that top 1K. And yeah, thank you very much for the kind words. Hopefully Inter Milan can also pull something off, but maybe we're asking for a bit too much there. Cheers for you all you do, Dylan. I'm 1,446 overall, no mini league. In this case, who's your captain? I think I'm going to go for De Bruyne. He's got 4 Man of the Match awards in this Champions League campaign. I think sometimes he didn't deserve it, but simply because of his passing abilities and also his assist numbers, that's why sometimes he might get the award when he doesn't deserve it. But he is the best player on offer today. There's no doubt about it. And he will be really high up in the Ballon d'Or rankings. I'd go for De Bruyne. And thank you very much for the kind words. Good luck into maybe creeping into the top 1K. It is possible. Who would get subbed off first, Barella or DeMarco? I'd say DeMarco is more likely to be subbed off earlier. You got a decent team. I'm thinking about sticking somehow Grealish and going for a 4-5-1 formation. Yeah, look, it's going to be really tricky because a lot of us will have a similar team. We've only got 2 teams available, and I think it's quite clear, when you're looking at defenders, for example, you know who the best options there are. DeMarco, Ruben Diaz, John Stones. In goal, Onana's the best one. In the midfield, De Bruyne and Gundogan are the standouts. Çalhanoğlu too. Up front, everyone's going to go for Haaland and Lautaro Martinez. So it's just about finding that differential two who can make the difference for you. Thank you, Julio Peña, for being a member for 8 months. That's a crazy amount. By the way, there's some people, being members for multiple months, weeks, some people even for years. I very much appreciate all that support. You don't have to. I appreciate that extra step you take to support the channel. So thank you, Julio Peña. Vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry ice cream. Bench, start, and sell. In terms of, if you're asking me which ice cream do I prefer from those three, it's really difficult. You know, vanilla's kind of, people will say basic, but it's really classy. Or classy, I don't know, it's just a good ice cream flavor. I like all of them, to be honest. I honestly don't know. If I had to pick, it probably is chocolate. Is it? Maybe chocolate. And as for bench, start, and sell, let me know what you mean by that in terms of bench, start, and sell. Yeah, honestly, it might be the headache playing a part now. Honestly, I don't know, but let me know what you meant by that, and I will get back to you, of course. Thank you very much for the kind words. We are not keeping a clean sheet. Yeah, I don't think so, Messi Monkey. I don't think so, but if one team were to keep one, it would be Man City. If I'm supporting Inter for captain Lautaro or Hakan, I'd say Lautaro Martinez, but look, even if you're supporting Inter, like I technically am today, why not jinx City and go for 8, 9, 10, 11 City players? You know, just putting it out there. Captaincy pick, I'd go for De Bruyne. Onana for save points, I completely agree. I haven't played Pro Evo in a long time. I think the last time I really played it was back in 05, and maybe 06, when John Terry and Henry were on the cover. Bernardo Silva versus Barella. Bernardo Silva. Stones, Ake, Adamian, top two. Stones and Ake for me. Look, I think Damian's better than Ake, but it all depends on your goalkeeper and your other defender. If you've already got Onana in goal and you're only going to start 3 defenders, then yeah, I'd go for Stones and Ake there. Yeah, I agree. FIFA is a mess, but look, we all have our opinions. Captain Haaland, KDB Gundogan. I'm going for KDB, I think. Play Bastoni 4-4-2, Rodri 3-5-2, or Dzeko. Depends what the rest of you... I hate to say depends. I'm not trying to sit on the fence. It just genuinely is the way I kind of approach these problems. So if you've already got Onana in goal and you've got no other Inter Milan defender, to be honest, I'd still probably edge towards Rodri there. I think Rodri or Dzeko is the way to go. So if you've already got that Inter Milan defensive coverage, don't go for Bastoni, and I'd go for Rodri or Dzeko. And I'm really kind of torn between those two. I think Dzeko is more likely to give you 6 points and above, but Rodri is more likely to give you something at all, if you catch my drift. So Dzeko has the highest ceiling of the lot, but Rodri is the most likely to give you a return, 4-5 points probably. So I'm probably going to go for Rodri there. Let's see what else we have. Is this your squad? It's not my final team, I think. I still have 2 transfers left at my disposal. So if we go back to the transfer screen, I've got 2 free transfers, 2.8 million in the bank. And what I could do, I mean, let me know, what would you do in the live chat? Maybe you lot can help me out here. I've got 3 options. Change Courtois to Edison and start Edison in goal, and then start DeMarco, maybe Ruben Dias and Stones, and then go for 5 midfielders or something. I could also bring in, let's say, Barella, or Jack Grealish in for Valverde, or I could even go for Alvarez slash Lukaku, Dzeko in for Benzema. So I've got a few options here. But to be honest, with the fact that all of these strikers, apart from Martinez, Dzeko and Haaland, they're all benched really in Lukaku and Alvarez, I might even go for a midfield 5 or defensive 4. That's the way I'm kind of leaning towards at the moment. It's really close here. Help me pick one. I'd go for Bernardo Silva there. Onana versus Edison is my only dilemma. I'd go for Onana. Out from Panama, great way to finish the season. Thank you, Jean Carlos. Thank you very much for the support. And Panama, great country. Enjoy the weather. If it's not, great weather right now, it will be soon probably. No, I don't. It might be my final lineup, but it's not completely set in stone. I've still got 2 transfers left, so just making that clear. And don't copy anyway. We've only got 2 teams available. It's good to be different. Martinez or Hakan on penalties. I think it's Lautaro Martinez, if I'm not mistaken. Trying to think here. Kalanoglu definitely takes set pieces like crosses, free kicks and corners, but I think it's Lautaro Martinez. If City win tonight, does Haaland win the Ballon d'Or this year? I wouldn't say it's completely set in stone. Look, for me, people might call me biased. I still think Messi deserves it. And look, you might argue he's only been good in the World Cup, but I think he was Ligue 1's best player. He also was good in the Champions League group stages. I know it's only the group stages. And Haaland has been terrific. But for me, Haaland's just a goal scorer. I always kind of typically favour the best footballer overall. And look, Haaland will probably win a Ballon d'Or too, at least in his career. But I personally think Messi still has the edge. If Haaland scores a hat-trick, though, in the Champions League final, or, is the man of the match to stand out, he makes the difference, I think he will be ahead of Messi in the pecking order. Just joining, captaincy pick, Haaland or KDB? KDB for me. Start Akanji over Dzeko? Possibly, yes. I think I would. Start Dzeko or Barella? I think I would go for Dzeko. Ake or Bastoni? I think Bastoni is typically a better option, but look, I hate to say it. Once again, it all depends on who you're starting in your defence and your goalkeeper. So if you've already got one Inter Milan defender, then I would go for Ake. Captain, I'm going for De Bruyne. Will Haaland score? I think he scores once. Andreas says Onana, Stones, Diaz, DeMarco, KDB, Gundogan, Barella, Bernardo, Dzeko, Haaland, and Lautaro. Great lineup. I have not many issues with it. I think you might miss out on a Gundogan. I think he could be the star of the show here today, or one. No, sorry, you already got him. I'm chatting nonsense as usual. My bad. Your team's fine. Honestly, I don't see much wrong with it. That's as good as you can be in this final. You can make a case for starting 3 Man City defenders. So instead of the marker, maybe go for a Kanji and kind of lean more towards a Man City clean sheet if you kind of back that. But that looks great. Mohamed also puts his team. Also another great example of a solid squad. A lot of us are going to be similar. It's only going to be 1 or 2 players that are going to be the difference. I agree with the captaincy. I think Kevin De Bruyne is the best option. Yeah, I think that's fine. I'm looking to do something similar with Onana and 3 Man City defenders. I think that's a great job. Great team, sorry. Octavio says, great job through all the season, Dylan. Thank you. Greetings from Miami. Enjoy Messi. Do you think Inter could give an upset? Yeah, upset. Yeah, they really can, but I don't think they will. That's the key difference. Barella or DeMarco? DeMarco. Really boring final for fantasy, in my opinion. Diaz, Akanji, Gundogan, and Bernardo Silva are my certain transfers. 5th will probably be Rodri or Dumfries as punt. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's kind of simple what to do here. But look, the thing with the final, it might seem very simple, but it's about nailing that captain. That's already difficult enough in itself when you've got so many quality players at your disposal. And also, it's about nailing that structure. Do you go for 3, 4, 5 defenders? Do you go for 3 attackers? There's a lot of different questions that come with the team structure. So I think that's where the Champions League final will be won and lost in terms of our fantasy options, should I say. I may leave this live, need to rest my mind before the match. Fair enough, you know, I'd do the same thing. If Arsenal were in the final of the Champions League, I probably wouldn't watch myself, to be honest. I would not be watching a fantasy stream. I'd just be praying, basically. Gundogan or Silva? Gundogan. Really close, though. I think Bernardo has been better in UCL Fantasy this season, but I think Gundogan is the man for the big moments. Why Onana of Ederson? More saves. I mean, if you just look at the fantasy points from both goalkeepers, Onana 61, Ederson has 47, and he also has a lot more saves. I think Ederson is the better one. Sorry, Onana is the better option. Which top 5 players do you think will score the highest? Difficult to predict, mate. I'd say De Bruyne, Haaland, possibly Lautaro Martinez, and then I'd say a Gundogan / Bernardo Silva. Probably my top 5. Really close, though. Bastoni and Calhanoglu or Akanji and Barella plus Onana in goal. I would go for Bastoni and Calhanoglu. Really close, though. Own Grealish already, as well as KDB Gundogan. Should I swap Grealish for Silva? It could be risky, Ahmed, but I would. I think it could go either way, but for me, Bernardo Silva is more likely to give you an attack in return. 3 best defenders to start with Onana in goal. Akanji, Ruben Diaz, and Stones. Sion puts his team as well. Good stuff. I don't see much wrong with it. I think, based on my own personal prediction, I would maybe drop Bastoni and go for another Man City defender like Stones. Apart from that, looks really solid. And I also would maybe consider a Bernardo Silva instead of either Barella or Rodri. Most likely Barella. The rest looks completely fine, though. Bring Dzeko instead of Calhanoglu or instead of DeMarco or instead of Akanji. I would not put Dzeko in instead of Calhanoglu. Maybe instead of DeMarco, if you've already got Onana or Bastoni or someone else like that. But I probably wouldn't start Dzeko, I think, over the others. Soccer is tomorrow. Yeah, honestly, I don't watch Soccer or, you know, all these YouTubers and stuff like that. But it's a good cause. That's good to hear. Akanji, Diaz or Stones? Choose 2. Stones and Diaz. Diaz is the best one, in my opinion. Keep Rodri or sell him to Silva? Keep Rodri, I think. Look, Silva has the highest ceiling, and in the Champions League final, you want to go for the one with the highest ceiling, so that makes sense. But I think Rodri is more likely to give you a return, but Bernardo Silva has the highest ceiling. So if you just want to kind of take a punt and take a risk, Bernardo Silva, go for it, but you don't need to. I don't know, mate. Onana in goal. Yeah, more points, but come on, this is City. But that's the point, Kralic or Crouch. I'm going for an honor in goal, but I'm going for 3-man C defenders. So I'm kind of backing both, not backing both, I'm covering both possibilities. If Inter Milan keep a clean sheet or Onana saves a penalty or whatever, I've got him in goal. I've covered that eventuality. And look, with Ederson, I think City concede. And if Ederson, concedes, I don't think he gets more than 2 or 3 points. With Onana, he could lose the game, but still get 4 or 5 because of the saves potential. Boring final this time. Last year was so exciting. Maybe, look, I kind of agree with you. I think this is kind of a one-sided final, but we all said this maybe a few years ago with Chelsea and City, and Chelsea won. Now, look, maybe I'm kind of giving myself false hope or trying to big up this final when there's nothing really. I see what you mean, but even last year I had that sensation that Madrid were going to win because Madrid typically beat Liverpool in the Champions League, especially in finals. But yeah, I can see what you mean there. And look, hopefully it is a better final than it looks on paper. Silva versus Barella, Silva. Rodrigo Calhanoglu to start, Calhanoglu. Yeah, it's about to go down. And by the way, just in case, lock in your teams fairly soon. Don't leave it for the last 5 minutes just in case the site crashes. I don't think it will, but you never know. FPL, it definitely will happen. In UCL Fantasy, it hasn't really happened too much, but it is a possibility. So try to lock in your team very soon. Demantis says, hello, bro. I can imagine 1-0 Rodri goal plus ball recoveries plus man of the match. Yeah, something like that could happen. Even a Gundogan scoring the only goal and getting, man of the match and stuff like that. So that is a good shout. And I appreciate that. Which Man City defender will be the first to sub off? Maybe Ake due to his fitness, but honestly, I'm not too sure about that. Do you prefer Dumfries or DeMarco? DeMarco is my favourite. Best limitless team, it's already out on the channel. If you check that best limitless team video, the only change I'd make is instead of Lukaku, maybe I'd go for Dzeko/Alvarez. Thank you, Ahmed, for the super chat. I very much appreciate that. Thank you so much for your input. Can't believe that the season is over today. Discovered you during the World Cup and has been a subscriber since then. Thank you so much, bud. Thank you, mate. And that seems like a distant memory. I forgot I did World Cup fantasy videos, also Euro 2020. Thank you very much for that. It's good to have you on board. And yeah, this season has gone so quickly. I look forward to seeing you next season as well. And good luck with this Champions League final. Enjoy the occasion. And hopefully you get that green arrow to wrap up the season in the best possible way. Thank you, Ahmed, for the super chat and for your kind words and support. Calhanoglu has bad form compared to Barella recently. Yeah, that's a fair point. But in terms of the Champions League, I think Calhanoglu has been good. But in all competitions, you might be right there. Can you please talk about the point scoring for the finals? I'm not sure what you mean. In terms of, maybe you're asking about if it goes to extra time or penalties. Yeah, so if a player scores, basically penalty shootouts, that's where points don't count. Points don't count at all in penalty shootouts. It doesn't matter if it's a final, semi-final, or whatever. But if a goal is scored or a clean sheet is lost in extra time, then yeah, it's lost basically, or you gain that goal and points as a result. Does domestic form matter? It plays a part, but I don't think it's too important. For example, with a Calhanoglu, his bad domestic form doesn't stop him from being a good UCL fantasy asset. Do I need a bench? Not really. I'd say have 1 or 2 decent options just in case, but just think about it. Subs won't happen. You can't retrospectively change your team and make subs as we have done throughout the whole competition. And the only way you can have players come off your bench is if someone in your starting 11 doesn't play at all. But because you know the lineups, that won't happen. So one last dance for us this season, yes, and hopefully it's a good one. Ederson, Diaz, DeMarco, Stones, KDB, Captain, Gundogan, Silva, Barella, Calhanoglu, Haaland, Lautaro Martinez. What do you think? I think it's great. I do prefer Onana over Ederson, but I think the way you've structured your team with 3 City defensive coverage, 1 Inter Milan, and then having that balance in the midfield is probably just about right. Maybe instead of Barella, I prefer... Oh, no, that's fine. You've also got Calhanoglu. I think that's fine, to be honest. That's a really good team. Stones or Rodri? I prefer Stones. Silva versus Barella? I prefer Bernardo Silva. Hello, Dylan. I don't play UCL Fantasy, but I miss your videos. Thank you. I appreciate you tuning in. And yeah, don't worry. FPL content will be back fairly soon. I anticipate I anticipate FPL to return in early July. And once that happens and I'm able to do videos and streams, I will be back. Ake or Akanji? I prefer Akanji in UCL Fantasy. Can you show the best possible team now after the lineup's out? It's still the same as the video. The only change I'd make is instead of Lukaku, I'd go for either Dzeko or Alvarez, and I'm still deciding on the best lineup. Otherwise, I would have secured my transfer already. Huge fire near the stadium. Hopefully the match goes on. Wow, I wasn't even aware of that. And I'll probably, after the stream is over, then I'll put BT Sport on. Grealish or Barella? Barella. Look, Grealish could be a shout, but he's not really my favourite option per se. Evening, Alex. Hope all is well on your end, mate. Yeah, Alex, I mean, apart from a headache, that's really the only thing I can complain of, and that's what happens when you're in the sun too much. Might not look like it, but I was in the sun. What's the highest score you think I can get from 8 into starters? I mean, I don't know. It's all hypothetical, and I'm not really the greatest at predicting scores, but I'd say 50, 60. I mean, it's really difficult to get a good score in a Champions League final anyway. Grealish or Rodri? I would go for Rodri. Akanji or Stones? I'd go for Stones. Rodri versus Gundogan? I would go for Gundogan. 4-4-2 Bastoni, 3-5-2 Grealish, 3-4-3 Dzeko. I'd say Dzeko, but if you have no Inter Milan goalkeeper, or you don't have DeMarco, and the rest are Man City defenders, then I think 4-4-2 Bastoni is the way to go. Bench Ake for Alvarez. Not a bad shout. I think Alvarez could be the one, you know, coming off the bench that can make the difference for either team. I'm not against that. Dzeko, Rodri, or another City defender. I would go for... Based on how I think the game's going to go, probably another Man City defender, but it's really close. Honestly, it's one of those where you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Aditya says, Benzema to Dzeko or Carvajal to a City defender like Stones. Yeah, I'm in a similar predicament. I'm very conflicted. Already have Annan and 2 Inter defenders, Bastoni and Damian. Only 5 changes available. I'd go to a City defender in that case, Aditya. City or Inter? I'm going for City. Why? They're the best team in the world. As good as Inter Milan have been in recent months, I still think Man City are a far better team, and they've also got the momentum, maybe not in the last few Premier League games, but whenever they start their best team, they win the game. It's as simple as that. Yeah, it's possible what he's saying. I hope it's not the case, but I think that's more likely than an Inter Milan win, unfortunately. Dzeko or Grealish for Akanji? I'd say Dzeko, but I do prefer Akanji. 3-5-2 Hakan or 4-4-2 DeMarco? 3-5-2 Hakan. Dzeko or Damian? Damian, if you have no other Inter Milan defensive coverage. Is Barella to Bernardo worth a hit? No, I wouldn't take hits. I wouldn't take a hit. Honestly, even if Bernardo does something... Look, I'm not saying it's really unlikely, but it's so difficult for him to justify that 4-point hit. So it's so difficult. It's all covered in the video. So literally off the top of my head, Onana in goal, Akanji, Diaz, John Stones as the back three, Hakan Çalhanoğlu, De Bruyne, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, and if you were to go for a 5th player, maybe Rodri there, and then up front, Lautaro Martinez and Haaland. I think that's the way I'd go about it. What are your other transfer ideas? So I've got 2 transfers left. Honestly, what I might even do is go for Rodri in the midfield, and then go for Edin Dzeko. I might go for this. So let me know what you think of that, because the alternative would be maybe Grealish and Lukaku, or still go for Dzeko. I could also go for Alvarez up front and then maybe Barella midfield. So I've got a few other options there. So it's going to be a close one. It's going to be a close one. I'll probably put a poll out. And by the way, if you want polls for captaincy and stuff like that, go on my channel, go to the community section and check out all the polls we have there. We've got some very interesting results, to say the least. We've got 32 minutes left for the deadline, so I'm going to be locking in my team fairly soon. We've got just under 300 viewers watching, so thank you very much for those still tuning in. And we're very close to 100 likes. Let's be sure to smash that record and also get to 200 likes by the end of the stream. That'd be massively appreciated, and it costs nothing as well. It really helps us out in the algorithm, and also in terms of maybe the future as well, getting more subscribers and growing this channel even further. So thank you for those that have already done so. I'm going to put a poll out now for my own team predicament. If you want any other polls, then let me know. I can also refer to the community tab, where I've got a few polls up already about the best formation, also the best captain and stuff like that as well, already up on the channel. So these are my options for the final 2 transfers. These are my plans for the final 2 transfers. Okay, we'll put a poll icon. Let's see, yep, that's done. All right, so this is what I could do. So let me just get up here. All right, so I can bring in Rodri and Dzeko, Barella and Alvarez, Then it could just be a few other kind of hypotheticals, not really a big deal, but Rodri and Lukaku. Joking, that's disrespectful. Rodri plus Lukaku and Rodri and Barella plus... No, that'd be the same thing. Barella plus Edison, I guess. I mean, it's not really a big deal. Yeah, I think that is probably the way I'd go about it. Yeah, is there anything else I'm missing? I mean, probably Grealish as well. Grealish. Yeah, I think, yeah, and then Grealish plus Dzeko too. All right, yeah, I think that's the best way to go about it. Am I missing anything? Yeah, okay. I'm just going to do that. Those are my transfer plans. Let me know what you think, and we'll get back to your questions again. Apologies if I might seem a bit slow. Literally just my headache is just a bit annoying, but that should be fine. Who's your captain? Probably De Bruyne. Who to start, Akanji or DeMarco? Akanji for me, unless you have no Inter Milan defensive coverage whatsoever. In that case, I would go for DeMarco. DeMarco instead of one of Diaz, Akanji or Stones, says Ayub. Yeah, maybe Akanji. And that's assuming you have Edison in goal. If you've got Onana in goal already, then I would just lean towards 3 Man City defenders. I think so, Soldier Boy. I'd say 90% locked. I've been talking about De Bruyne all week. I think he is another one for the big occasion. I know he didn't do too on the last Champions League final. He got injured, a bit unlucky there. I think he's got a score to settle, and I think he will be the main man today. Brozovic or a third City defender? I would go for a third City defender. Yeah, 30 minutes there, Gary, and now 29. So yeah, time is flying very quickly. Going for Barella over Darmian and playing a 3-5-2 with 2 City and 2 into defence. Onana in goal. Thoughts? Good rank, by the way. And look, I think that's a good squad and a good plan. And having 2 of each isn't necessarily a bad thing. If both teams concede, then I think 2 City, 2 into defence, could be the best way to go about it, because Inter Milan have better defenders in UCL Fantasy for ball recoveries and different reasons like that. But I think with City as well, you know, if there was a clean sheet, I think City is the one that's more likely. So I think the way I'm going to go about it is 3 City defenders and Onana in goal. But your approach isn't bad whatsoever, and I wouldn't be totally against that either. Start 1, Calhanoglu versus Martinez versus Dzeko. Martinez. Akanji or Stones, I would go for Stones. Dzeko or Hakan Calhanoglu. Hakan Calhanoglu. Calhanoglu, Rodri or Barella, says Josh Sri Ram. Hopefully there's nothing discussed. No, okay. Calhanoglu, Rodri or Barella. Calhanoglu. Rodri or Barella, says Pranav. Rodri. Do you need to use all 5 transfers? You don't need to, Julio Pena, to be honest. I'm just going to use them because why not? And I'm going to have some benching headaches once I have those 5 transfers all done. Barella or Rodri? Rodri again. Bastoni, Stones, Akanji, or start with Barella? I'd go for Stones there. So at the moment, 47% of you are going for Dzeko and Rodri, which probably is the sensible way to go about it, to be fair. And that is what I'm leaning towards, as you can see in the... On screen. Yeah, on screen, yeah, if I can speak English. Thoughts on Lukaku as a differential? I mentioned him a lot in the videos, and I was more enticed by him if he started, but it could be a blessing in disguise for you. The fact that he's on the bench, a bit similar to Alvarez. I think those two are the ones you're looking at to make a difference, you know, coming on later on in the game. But I think Alvarez, for me, is the kind of key one that could come off the bench and secure the trophy for Man City. But yeah, Lukaku's in great form, as you mentioned, quite rightly, since the 95th minute penalty against Juventus in the Coppa Italia semi-final. Ever since that, he's been in fantastic form. So I do like that, but I'm probably going to go for Dzeko because he's starting. Great question, Bruno. So if I decide to bring in Rodri and Dzeko, I think what I'm going to do is start Onana, go for Ruben Diaz, Akanji, Stones, go for a midfield 5, maybe, and then go for Julian and Martinez. So honestly, it's between DeMarco, Rodri, and Dzeko for that final spot, and that is a really tough one to call, to be fair. Yeah, almost 50% of you have voted for Rodri Dzeko. The second most popular is going for Grealish and Edin Dzeko, which is quite interesting. This City team versus Barca 14-15, who would win? Barca 14-15 for me. And I think Barcelona 2011 is even better, in my opinion. Look, this Man City team is great. It's one of the best teams of all time, this kind of period from 2017 to now on the Pep, but I don't think this team is as good as Barcelona, the treble-winning sides of 2015 and 2011. If you disagree, let me know. Dylan, to make a transfer, Edison, if you already have Onana, yeah, that's something else I considered. I don't think you need to, though. Onana's fine, and I think he outscores Edison if both teams concede. My prediction's 3-1. We'll go over that very soon. Rodri is more likely to give you 4 points. And look, Grealish is more offensive, and he could be the assister, per se, but not a big fan of him fantasy-wise. I might just go for him anyway, just cover all the Man City attackers. Captain Gundogan, what's your captain pick to chase rank? Captain to chase rank, it would be either Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, or Lautaro. And it depends on which team you're backing. If you're backing Inter, go for Lautaro. If you're backing City, I'd probably go for Gundogan. Yeah, that's what I'm going to probably put next in the poll, and then I'll decide later on. It's honestly really close, but it would be between Rodri, DeMarco, and Dzeko, and I'm currently leaning towards starting Rodri and going for a 3-5-2. Really, really close one, though. I only have one transfer left, Dzeko or DeMarco. I'd say DeMarco if you have no other Inter Milan defensive coverage. Best Limitless team is already covered in the video that I uploaded on Friday, so yesterday. It's all up on the channel. Voy de segundo y estoy a 25 puntos de primer lugar en mi liga. ¿Qué me recomendarías para intentar ganar este primer lugar? Y en este caso, quizás tienes que ir por otro capitán como Kevin De Bruyne o Gundogan, alguien así. Si vos sabes que el que está en primera posición va a poner como capitán a Haaland, ahí puedes poner a Kevin De Bruyne como tu capitán. Para mí eso es clave. Y también la alternativa es ir por más jugadores de Inter Milán, quizás, pero para mí eso es muy, muy arriesgado y yo creo que Man City va a ganar. Así que yo pondría otro capitán como Kevin De Bruyne o Gundogan y yo pondría a quizás alguien como Lukaku, Edin Dzeko, Álvarez en tu primer equipo. Alguien que puede venir del banco o en el caso de Dzeko que empiece el partido y que pueda anotar un gol. I'm in doubt between another defender or another forward. So am I, mate. I think that's the kind of key question for all of us. Who's the Inter penalty taker? I think Lukaku is first choice, but he is on the bench, of course. So I think the one that's next in line is Lautaro Martinez. And I think after that, you're looking at Calhanoglu and Barella. But I could be wrong about that. And if there is an Inter Milan fan watching, then be sure to correct me if I am wrong about that. I don't think so, but maybe, you know, once AFCON is on and I, you know, see the game and I like the look of it, I might just go for it. Diaz to Rodri or Benzema to Dzeko? Diaz to Rodri or Benzema to Dzeko? Oh, no. Let me see. I'd say Rodri. I don't know. I have a slightly feeling about Rodri over Dzeko. Probably De Bruyne, Pedro. I haven't been watching the Under-20 World Cup. I wasn't really too surprised to see Argentina go out. They are the most successful in history, but with Mascherano, they're just not too good. And a lot of the key players not being sanctioned or let go for the World Cup because, you know, for example, United had Garnacho in the FA Cup final. Buonanotte wasn't allowed to go by Brighton. But yeah, with Mascherano, I like him as a player, but as a manager, still a lot to learn. But yeah, I haven't really been watching, even when Argentina were in it. Who even wants Man City to win? Look, I agree with you. Now, look, I don't want to, you know, trigger Man City fans or anything. We all have our own opinions, and I like the way Man City play. I think Guardiola is the best coach in the world and stuff like that. But I agree, you know, I don't really like oil clubs per se. I have to say, out of all the oil clubs so far, I don't think Man City are the worst. You know, I think Chelsea are the worst for me. But yeah, I can see what you mean there. Voy de primero en mi liga por la mínima diferencia. Estrategia para mantenerme. Tengo a Kevin De Bruyne de capitán ahorita. Sí, un poquito diferente al otro caso que respondí antes. Sí, en este caso, para mí, poner capitán como Kevin De Bruyne o Haaland, para mí es como mantener primera posición y también ir por más jugadores de City. Para mí, así va a ganar la liga. What's the team to go with if you're trying to hold a 20-point lead? Well, I think the way to hold it is to go for 7-8 Man City players in your starting 11 and also go for Kevin De Bruyne or Haaland as captain. You can watch the Champions League final live with BT Sport. So if you just type in Champions League final, it will be the first option there. And also if you just type in BT Sport, you should find a link for the Champions League final. My team, I'll be locking in very soon. But for anyone, you know, I'm not saying you're necessarily doing this, but for anyone that might be waiting to see what my final team is and then copying, just don't do that. I mean, just have a bit of fun. You know, there's not that many players available anyway. It's good to be a bit different and just play your own game. You can do better than me. Please let us know your final captain at least 15 minutes before kickoff by a community post. I already said this. I've been quite clear about the captain. I think I'm going to go for De Bruyne, and I've said this all week. I think he is the one to go for. If I were to change it, it's probably Haaland, kind of basic, but I want to go a bit different and go for De Bruyne. Rodri, Stones, Dzeko. I would go for Stones, I think, but really, really close one. Rodri or DeMarco? Rodri? Yeah, probably Rodri. Onana or Edison? Onana. Onana will be my goalkeeper. Voy de primero en la liga por 6 puntos. Capitán Haaland o Kevin De Bruyne. Si vos sabes quién va... el que está en segundo lugar, si vos sabes quién va a poner como capitán, Entonces, por ejemplo, si él pone a Haaland, vos podés cubrir eso con Haaland como capitán. Pero, en mi opinión, Kevin De Bruyne es la mejor opción y yo pondría a él. Pero para mí, los dos son los mejores y es muy difícil elegir uno por encima del otro. Pero Kevin De Bruyne para mí es en primer lugar. Poll with recent feelings for captain. Yeah, okay, fair enough. I'm going to end this poll, by the way. So 51% of you have gone for Rodri and Dzeko. I'm just going to put one quick poll now, which will be in regards to who I should bench, which a lot of you will have a similar feeling about that as well. So I'm looking to bring in Eden Dzeko and Rodri. So I think that's kind of final. So I'm now going to have 8 Man City players. So yeah, I'm now going to do this. I'm going to put Akanji in for Darmian. So let's sort this out. Oh yeah, let's change the screen so this looks better. So yeah, let's change this. Okay. So Akanji in for Darmian. I'm also going to bring in Rodri for Edin Dzeko, I think, for the time being. So let me look at the ownerships, which I haven't done actually. 7%, Darmian 2%. I do like that. I can't lie, I do like that. DeMarco's 10%, Ruben Dias is 28%, a bit more 10 player. Kanji 9%, Rodri's 11%. Bernardo Silva 14%, Gundogan 8%. So still some low-owned players, but that will change, I think, by the time we get to the deadline. Kevin De Bruyne 32%. I'm not even sure how Haaland isn't even at 80% ownership at this point because, yeah, probably just inactive players at this point in time. Lautaro only 14%. So a lot of these players, not that much. Sorry, not that much. Yeah, so I'm going to bench DeMarco as well. All right, so as you can see, I'm probably going to put all of these players on the bench. Edin Dzeko as well. Yeah, I think that's going to be my final team. It looks really Man City-centric, doesn't it? It really does. So looking at this team, let me know what you do. I'm just going to put this quick poll before putting the ones that you lot want in terms of the captaincy. Most people are going to go for Haaland, just a bit of a spoiler alert, but De Bruyne won't be too far off in my opinion. So yeah, the question for me will be who to bench out of Rodri, I think. Yeah, Rodri, maybe a Kanji as well. Kind of a difficult one really at this point, it really is, but there we go, let's just put it. Which of these players would you start? Just a quick poll here. So let's put Rodri. Let's put Marco with starting in mind. Yeah, the Marco, Dzeko, and the other option is Darmian. I don't think he's going to be that popular. Let me see, I'm also going to put a Kanji. Yeah, maybe a Kanji as well. All right, so yeah, which of these players would you start with the team on screen in mind? All right, something like that. There you go. All right, let's go back to your questions. No, the bench don't earn points. That's why. It's just about the starting 11. That's all that's important. Oliver, try not to spam the chat. Así que no repitas la pregunta. Es un poquito molesto. ¿A quién pondrías, Di Marco o Bastoni? Yo pondría a Di Marco. Barella or Hakan Calhanoglu? I'd go for Calhanoglu. Captaincy poll, I'll put out very soon. Don't worry about that. This won't last too long. Thoughts on Foden? He's another one that could come off the bench and do well, but I actually have a good feeling about Alvarez. He's the one that I think can come off the bench and make the difference, if anything. Grealish or Barella? Grealish. Grealish? Probably Barella, actually. Why Calhanoglu over Barella? He's just a better UCL fantasy option in general, good for ball recoveries. He's on set pieces, he's 2-3rd, can score from distance. I think he's also better for assists, so that's why. Why Onana? He makes more saves than Ederson, and I already got 3 Man City defenders, so there you go. Bastoni, Darmian, or DeMarco? I would go for DeMarco. Bastoni or Ake? I'd go for Ake. Save team. Yeah, thank you, Gary, that is true. I think I've already saved it. Yeah, I have saved it. Let me just refresh it just to make sure, but I appreciate you looking out for me. Don't have too many of those people in the world. Joking. Don't know why I said that. Yeah, there you go. That is done. All right. Yeah, that team is locked in at the moment. So this could be my final team. There's just 1 or 2 details to iron out. The captaincy, which I think I'm going to just go for De Bruyne. And also, do I add another Inter Milan player or 2 to the starting 11? I'm a bit uneasy about benching DeMarco. And look, this poll is really close. Rodri is barely winning it. And you've got Dzeko and DeMarco in 2nd and 3rd position as well. Ake or Barella, I'd go for Ake. Rodri versus Stones versus Dzeko, I would go for John Stones. Bench Rodri, Darmian. Out of those two, I'd bench Darmian. Welcome Tech, final deadline stream of the season. Thanks for everything. Which one would you pick out of Grealish, Dzeko, Barella? Really close one. I think I'd go for Edin Dzeko. And congratulations, by the way, on West Ham winning the Conference League. Massive for West Ham. And I saw the celebrations. You must have enjoyed it. So congratulations on that. Good luck for the final in terms of UCL Fantasy. Enjoy the occasion and good luck with getting a green arrow. DeMarco or Barella? DeMarco. Gundogan captain, not against that. He'd be third or fourth on my list, but De Bruyne and Haaland are in the top two. Roger will get yellow, sub, and Bernardo. Gundogan will then drop deep. Not too sure about him being subbed off. Rodri is kind of... Man City fans will attest to this. You know, he just plays week in, week out. He might get the occasional rest, but he is... I think he's Man City's most important player. I think if you take him out of the team and you put Calvin Phillips in there, or Gundogan, the Man City struggle. So I don't think he'll be subbed off. Will he be booked? That's possible, and that's the kind of main problem with starting him. Yeah, Dumfries is worth a shout, but I'd rather go for DeMarco and Bastoni, and even then, I'm benching the likes of DeMarco. Best Man City defenders in order: Ruben Dias first, John Stones second, and Akanji third. Try to remove Rodri and put DeMarco in his place. I might do that, but I think Man City will win by by a goal or two. And if that's the case, then maybe benching Rodri could be a mistake. Gundogan or Grealish? Gundogan. Darmian or Bastoni if I had to pick one? Darmian's better for ball recoveries, but Bastoni is kind of more of an all-rounder with more goal threat, more likely to get Man of the Match awards. But who do I think scores more points? Probably Darmian, actually. So if somehow Inter wins 1-0, we'll all get depressed. Well, not me. I'd be happy with Inter Milan winning. Now, I do want a great game, but I prefer Inter Milan to win, to be honest. Yeah, good to see Tech, and yeah, let me know if you've got any questions. Roger versus Stones versus Dzeko. John Stones. First time experiencing a final on fantasy. How does subs work in that case? Different to before. You can't change substitutions. The only way those on your bench come on is if those in your starting 11 don't play a single minute, but I'm assuming you're going to order your team in such a way where everyone in your starting 11 is starting. Rodri or Dzeko? At the moment, I'm going for Rodri, but I'm very unsure about that. Di Marco versus Bastoni versus Hakan Calhanoglu. Choose two. Hakan Calhanoglu and DeMarco. Me queda un fichaje, Ederson o Ruben Díaz. Ruben Díaz para mí. En mi opinión, Ruben Díaz tiene más posibilidades. Puede anotar un gol, una asistencia, pero más que nada, él puede también anotar puntos por recuperaciones del balón, y con Ederson no hace muchas atajadas, así que para mí Ruben Díaz es mejor. Already playing Stones, Akanji, Díaz, and Onana. Should I play Di Marco or Bernardo Silva? Great question. I'd probably go for Bernardo Silva. But DeMarco's a great option. I'm very uneasy about benching him. I'm going all in for Gundogan captain. Final game, I'm going to go with my gut feeling. That's the way to go about it, in my opinion, Nuclear. So good luck. Hopefully you enjoy the final, and let's wait and see what Gundogan can do. Yeah, as I just said, I'd go for Ruben Diaz there, Nestor. Yeah, I'm also going for captain KDB. Kevin De Bruyne is the best midfielder for Man City. In second place, it'd be Gundogan. Third, Bernardo Silva. Fourth, Rodri. Fifth, Grealish. Akanji over Ake? Yes, I prefer Ake as a player, but in UCL Fantasy, Akanji is the one. Good luck, Dylan, and good luck, everyone. It's been a ride. Yep, thank you, Ibrahim. Good luck to you as well, and it's been a pleasure talking to you throughout the whole season. We only have 12 minutes left, by the way. This stream and the whole season has flown by. I appreciate all the support, and once again, if you haven't already, smash the like button, subscribe for new, all of that good stuff. Share this video around, comment your thoughts down below. In the live chat, keep on plugging away with your comments, vote in the poll, join the Discord server, check all the links in the description below. It's all massively appreciated. Alejo says, sí sé que jugadores tiene el jugador que me sigue en puntos, debería copiarlos para asegurar. Sí, es un buen punto. Yo dije algo parecido a otro. Mira, yo no soy fanático de copiar a las otras personas, pero si vos quieres ganar una liga y sabes los jugadores que va a comprar, tiene sentido en comprar esos jugadores para cubrirlo. Así que tiene sentido y probablemente es la mejor opción para vos para asegurar que termines en primer lugar. Rodri or DeMarco? I think DeMarco is generally a better UCL fantasy option, but it all depends, really. It really all depends on which goalkeeper you have. Honestly, like for like, just who is the better option? I think DeMarco. No, players on the bench don't count towards your score. Prediction, I've gone for 3-1 City. I might change that to a narrow win, like a 2-1 or 2-0, less goals basically, but I don't know. Is the bench useless? Technically, yes. Yeah. Is Martinez worth starting? I think so. Dylan, Akanji or Dzeko? I would go for Akanji based on my prediction. I don't think Dzeko scores, and I know he's facing his former club and stuff like that, but I think Man City keep him out. Rodri or Grealish? I've gone for Rodri. DeMarco or Akanji? DeMarco. Yeah, the bench is useless. Thoughts on Gundogan captain? He's my favourite differential captain, even over Lautaro Martinez, arguably, and Bernardo Silva. Bastoni or Barella? Bastoni. I just said it already. Type in BT Sport on YouTube and you should get a link, unless it's not available in your country. Rodri versus Hakan Calhanoglu versus Barella. Choose two. Hakan Calhanoglu and Rodri. Out of those three, Pranav, I would go for Akanji. Currently 6.9k and going for Gundogan captain. I like that, and hopefully it goes well for you. Oladilan, Dzeko or Akanji? Para mí, Akanji. Captain, KDB or Haaland? You can see the answer on screen. I'm currently going for KDB. Stones over Diaz and Akanji? Yes. No. Stones over Akanji, but not over Diaz. Yeah, someone said that in the street. I had a Argentina gear on. I think I had trousers on for Argentina, and then someone stopped me and they basically said I look like McAllister, which fair enough. I've got the beard, the colour. I've even got the surname for it, but let's not go into details. Rodri, Grealish and Barella, pick two. I would go for Rodri and Barella, I think, but Grealish is the most offensive of the three. Pick two of these three to start. Dzeko, Grealish and Hakan. Hakan and Dzeko. DeMarco or Akanji? In isolation, DeMarco, but it all depends on your goalkeeper and your other defenders. So, yeah, I just say DeMarco, but depends. Been a wonderful season. Thanks for all the help, bro. Thank you. Godson, I appreciate that. And good luck with the final. Enjoy the occasion. And I'm going to have a quick check on the poll, end it, and then put a final captaincy poll to wrap up this season. Yeah, this water is definitely helping with the headache, so thank you, water. Thank you very much. Bernardo or Gundogan and Akanji or Ake? Gundogan for me, although Bernardo is a better UCL Fantasy asset this season, and Akanji or Ake, I'd go for Akanji. The poll says it's better DeMarco over Akanji. Yeah, I mean, look, in isolation, DeMarco is a better option than Akanji, but if you're backing Man City to win or to keep a clean sheet, it would make more sense to start Akanji, so it's all hypothetical. Darmian or Dumfries? Darmian for me for ball recoveries. Dylan, you never walk alone. RCM, fair enough. Yeah, just for those that aren't aware, RCM is just basically my initials, not per se in that order. It's kind of like maiden name and then my mother's maiden name and then yeah, second and third name. That's basically it. Pranav, Onana, Stones, Diaz, DeMarco, Akanji, Silva, KDB, Hakan, Calhanoglu, Gundogan, Haaland, Lautaro. Great team. Not much wrong with it. I've got something very similar. Yeah, I've actually got the exact same 11, if I think about it. Instead, I think I've got Rodri. So what's the difference? I think, yeah, you've got DeMarco in there. Yeah, that looks great, to be honest. I like that. I like that. Yeah. In terms of the poll, Rodri is barely winning. Well, built up a bit of a lead. He's barely winning there. 37%. DeMarco's second, Dzeko's third, and Akanji is fourth. So I'll leave that for a minute or two longer, then put a final Champions League fantasy captaincy poll. I appreciate that, XX. Look, I only state my opinions, engage in conversation. I still have a lot to learn myself, but I appreciate that. I think Martinez is worth starting. Going with three defenders, DeMarco, Darmian, and Stones. Which goalkeeper should I go for? Onana. Now, in my opinion, if you go for Onana in goal, I would also drop a Darmian for a Man City defender, but that's just my personal opinion. Thank you, Nuclear Arms. I appreciate that. Good luck with the final, and I appreciate you moderating the chat and always being involved in the discussion. Yes, Bikri, the bench don't count towards your final points. Am I, Elva? I mean, just wait and see. Just find out. Play Grealish, Dzeko, and DeMarco Bastoni. Yeah, I think in terms of Grealish or Dzeko, I'd go for Dzeko, and DeMarco or Bastoni, I'd go for DeMarco. Paredes, you put the question a few times. I already mentioned it. I would go for Darmian. Ruben Diaz or Bastoni or Dumfries, says Esmil. I would go for Ruben Diaz. I look like Mac, but not that much. Yeah, I even got Mason Mount before. 10 years ago, people said I look like Marco Reus. People said David De Gea because of the beard. I mean, honestly, who do I not look like at this point? I mean, basically people say I look German, which is fair enough. Good luck to you as well, Glenn. Luca de Gabriel says, my defense is Akanji, Stones, Diaz, DeMarco. My midfield is De Bruyne, Bernardo, Gundogan, and Calhanoglu. Anything I should change? I don't think there's anything that stands out to change necessarily. I think it's a great team. I'm guessing Onana's your goalkeeper. You're well set for the final. I'm guessing you have Lautaro and Haaland up front. So it looks good. Ruben Diaz or Bastonio Dumfries. Like I said before, Ruben Diaz for me. So yeah, that is going to be the end. So Rodri has won the poll, it looks like. So that is fair enough. No worries, Paredes, no worries. Just making sure. Why do you prefer Darmian over Dumfries? Ball recoveries. So I expect Inter Milan to concede, but I think Darmian can still get maybe 1 or 2 ball recovery points and give you 4 points, maybe 3 points. So that's why I'd go for Darmian. Yeah, hopefully Inter wins, I agree, but honestly, may the best team win. Dylan Wright, centre midfielder. Yeah, that's literally what some friends of mine said as well. So that's fair enough. I'm going to now put a very quick captaincy poll before I forget. And also I'm going to go to the predictor before I forget as well and locking my team. And I hate this when it comes to the final minutes because I start to overthink, but there you go. Who will your final captain be? Final captain of the season be. So let's put that and then put a star. All right, so let's put De Bruyne, Haaland, Lautaro, and let's put a Gundogan. I think he's kind of more one of the more popular options, let's say. So there we go, Gundogan, Lautaro Martinez. All right, so there you go. I put a final captaincy poll, which is already out on the channel, but this will be a kind of updated version. So be sure to vote, make your feelings known, and help each other out in the live chat as well. I'm going for De Bruyne there, Ezra. When Lukaku instead of Bernardo had to go for one differential, that's fair enough, but just bear in mind, Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, they don't have high ownership. I think Bernardo's is around 14%, Gundogan 8%, but I'm not against that. I think Lukaku could do well off the bench. Ruben Diaz or Bastonio Dumfries, I would go for Ruben Diaz, like I said. KDB captain, yes. Akanji to start instead of Rodri or DeMarco. Probably instead of Rodri in isolation, but it all depends on your team structure. Then last flip, I'm in splits. Dzeko or Akanji. I'd lean towards Akanji personally. And you can see it from my team selection too. Nuclear Atom says my 11 is Onana, Diaz, Stones, Ake, DeMarco, KDB, Gundogan, captain, Silva, Calhanoglu, Haaland, and Martinez. The things that can scream is Rodri, the captaincy. Wow. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, I agree. I think Rodri getting a yellow card, and also, yeah, the captaincy. But apart from that, your team looks really good. And it's very similar to mine. I think my difference is I got Akanji instead of Ake. I've also started Rodri over DeMarco at the moment, but I might even change that and just go for DeMarco. Inter fan here, but it looks like 2-0 for City. At best, 1-1 and penalties for us. I'd take that 1-1 and penalty win for Inter, but let's wait and see. Play DeMarco over Akanji, maybe, but the thing is, I'm kind of backing Man City, so maybe I want to jinx them. Just saying, I'm just putting it out there. Maybe I want to jinx them. Just go all in on City. But yeah, I think DeMarco is the one that I really don't want to bench. I mean, just look how consistent he's been in the Champions League this season. Basically, whenever he starts, he tends to get returns. Apart from, I think the only occasion here, look, against Porto, got subbed for 60 minutes. Against Inter, against Barcelona, 67 minutes. But in every other start, he's gotten returns, which is just really good record. Edin Dzeko could also do well against his former club, but you see his record there. He scored in 3 games, but apart from that, multiple blanks. I think he won't score today. Famous last words. And as for Darmian, he's been fantastic in the knockout stages. Very good for ball recoveries as well. One of the best on offer today. But I think I'm going to go for De Bruyne captain to wrap up this season. I'm going to go for... Look, I know I'm going to start Nana. I'm going to go for John Stones, Diaz, Gundogan, Calhanoglu, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Haaland and Martinez. But it all comes down to, do I bench... Akanji, Rodri, or do I bench DeMarco? That's what it really comes down to, and I'm kind of in 2 minds about it, to be honest, but there we go. In terms of the poll, De Bruyne is winning, which is quite surprising. In the poll I put out in the community tab, it was Haaland who won. We've literally got less than a minute left, so yeah. Predictions, thank you, I appreciate that for letting me know. Just to kind of wrap this up, I think I'm going to go for this team. I really think I'm just going to go for it and jinx City, per se. In terms of my prediction, which I appreciate you letting me know, I've gone for 3-1 Man City, Kevin De Bruyne to be man of the match, and City to be the first one to score. Let me refresh this page. Yeah, it's going to be a close one. I've got to nail this on, by the way. 3-1. I'm maybe thinking a 2-1 as well. I don't want to overthink it, to be honest. I really don't. I might go for 2-1. Let me know what you think. Do you think it's going to be 2-1, 3-1 Man City? Whenever I change it late, it always goes the other way. So basically, I have two scorelines in mind. The one I don't pick is the one that ends up happening. So let me know what you want to... what you think is going to happen. But yeah, we've literally locked in right now, and I've got Rodri in my starting 11, Kevin De Bruyne captain, and I've gone for 3-1 Man City. So kickoff has happened, or it's going to happen any second now. But that is it to wrap up the season. Team set, come on boys, good luck. Let's have a blast of a game. Yep, thank you, Adash, I appreciate that. Rodri or Bernardo, I would have gone for Bernardo for the higher ceiling. I'm also kind of excited, even though I think City win. Not feeling great with Dzeko, DeMarco and Darmian benched while wanting Inter to win. To be honest though, Marco, I would rather Inter win and I get less fantasy points than the other way around, but let's wait and see. A Serbi or Dzeko, I would have gone for Dzeko. Stones or Darmian, John Stones. We are locked in there, and the Champions League has kicked off. Best of luck to you, FIFA bots. Want to predict Inter, but can't see it. Yeah, same here. I chose Ake over Akanji because I've seen in cup matches, Ake had a lot of chances from set pieces. That's a good shout, and the reason why I went for Akanji is because he has been better for ball recoveries in UCL Fantasy this season. But yeah, I think Ake is the better player overall. Good luck, Bruno, and good luck, Bestie, and everyone else watching. And before you leave the live chat, be sure to give it a like on your way out as we all watch the Champions League final. Let's try to get this stream to 200 likes, or at least close to it. That'd be massively appreciated. We've got 118, so we've still got 150 people tuning in. On your way out, be sure to smash the like button, and a massive shout out to those that sent in a super chat. I'll try to get the name up again, but there was one that sent a very significant donation, which I very much appreciate. And for those of you that have basically supported the channel and all these videos and streams throughout the whole season. Nucleam says, I'm relaxed. I feel like I've chosen the best possible players and I play this game a bit more casually. Yeah, and I think that also plays an advantage. Playing the game casually, you know, you kind of overthink it less as well. So I think that is the way to go. Yeah, just the party has kicked off. I'm going to at least have this on YouTube. So I'm going to watch it whilst we wrap up this video. I'm going to turn off the audio here. All right, so yeah, we're 30 seconds in to the final at least. It's probably a minute or something, but this is a bit behind. Let me just quickly check that the video or the stream didn't get demonetized because of UEFA website being a troll. Please don't tell me it got demonetized. It didn't. Okay, not for now. That's good. All right, so yeah, I've got the stream up right now. Hopefully it doesn't affect or cause lag. But yeah, either way, we're going to be wrapping up any second now. Good luck to you as well, Nucleams. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you, Alexander. I love. I appreciate the kind words. And yeah, see you next season, Alex, Nuclear and Alexander, whoever else is watching. Yeah, the plan is to make more content next season. I'll keep you guys and girls updated. And yeah, I'll also be trying to, during the kind of breakdown I'm going to have now, to yeah, make improvements for next season in terms of graphics, in terms of the thumbnails, everything basically that I can to improve, maybe the lighting, the microphone, whatever. I'm going to be looking at ways to improve for next season. That is the next step. Yeah, if anything, Man City don't have Walker. Yeah, I think that's better in the way Man City play. But maybe defensively, you could argue, you know, Akanji could be targeted. Who knows? But yeah, I think Man City win today. I've gone for 3-1 Man City. Hopefully that isn't the case, but if Man City were to win, hopefully it is 3-1 so I can, you know, win my Predictor League, but not too sure that's going to happen, to be fair. But yeah, kind of slow possession at the moment for Man City. What a shock. Not really too surprising there. I'm not going to do a watch-along, by the way. Maybe if I didn't have a headache, I would have just done it on the fly, but yeah, I'll probably just go off and watch it with the family. 2 City defenders, 2 Inter, including keeper, 4 City midfielders, and 1 Inter each up top and the one captain. I like the look of that. Great team structure. I've gone for 3 City defenders, 1 goalkeeper and Inter Milan, and I've gone for 5 midfielders, but let's wait and see. I've basically gone for Rodri for the ball recovery points, and I think Inter Milan concede. If Inter Milan keep a clean sheet, I will be regretting benching DeMarco and Darmian, of course. Dylan Sanoff, the game has started. What an atmosphere. Cheers, boys. Yeah, I probably will. I mean, everyone's going to watch the final, which is rightfully so. Who do you want Arsenal to sign? Oh my god, Haaland already nearly scored. Bloody bastard. No offense to any Norwegian people here. I want Arsenal to sign Caicedo, Declan Rice, Gundogan would be a dream signing in the midfield to replace Xhaka. Who else? I'd also say a defender like Fresneda for the future. Arsenal could sign him for as little as 7 million or 20 million euros. I think he'd be a great signing. I'd also say another centre-back / right-back in general and an attacker. I know it seems like a lot, but Arsenal need to make some, if they are serious, they sign these players, offload the kind of deadwood. Arsenal could be right up there once again, challenging Man City in the Premier League and also winning a cup. So, yeah, I think those players will make the difference. Caicedo, Rice, Fresneda for the future. I'd also say another defender and another attacker. Which attacker per se? I mean, the dream would be Lautaro Martinez, but I don't think that'll happen. But I think that is the way to go. Inter Milan did mention they'll be using Rudiger's defending as an example. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Rudiger was the one to keep Haaland quiet. When Rudiger started, of course, it was quite a tight game, but Man City can destroy anyone on their day. Almost same as you, but have Grealish, not Rodri, and Bastoni, not Akanji. That's good. And that's what I mean. A lot of us will have identical teams, which is, it comes with the territory. We've only got 2 teams available. But yeah, I think once we get to the group stages, that's where things are completely different. We all have, we're targeting different teams and we've got quite a lot of different, I don't know, team structures and everything's kind of unique. And that's what I like about Champions League at the start. I really want Martinez to come to Madrid if we can't get Kane. Yeah, if I was a Madrid fan, I'd also want the same thing as well. With no Kane, the decisions will be much easier for everyone in FPL. Yeah, that's the one thing I don't like about Kane going abroad. Like, as an Arsenal fan, I want him to go to Madrid. It's kind of, it weakens Tottenham. It also, he doesn't go to United and strengthens them. But from an FPL perspective, everyone's going to go for De Bruyne, Salah, and Haaland as your free premiums. You can also maybe go for Trent as your premium defender. I don't like that. Yeah, I think so, Twisted. Like, it all depends, really, because I think Arsenal can afford both Caicedo and Rice. The problem is affording both of them, as well as a striker / forward and a defender. And that's where the difficulties lie. So I think Arsenal can pay that 78 million. And according to some reliable sources, even one from Brighton, oh my God, City almost came close to scoring yet again from through Bernardo Silva. Yeah, the problem is, I just lost tangent of what I was saying there, basically. But yeah, I think Arsenal are able to afford it, but the problem is just in terms of prioritising the players they want in each position. But I'd love both Moises Caicedo and Declan Rice. I think Caicedo's a better fit for Arsenal, but Rice is the #1 target, it seems. And yeah, as I was saying, a reliable Brighton journalist and a few other reliable sources said that Arsenal are preparing a bid. So that'd be great to see if they can get that over the line. Obviously, it's a shame for Brighton to have their key assets being sold, and I honestly don't get how McAllister went for only 35 million, but there you go. I'm not sure if it will be a complete overhaul in terms of graphics, but I'm looking to introduce new graphics and maybe improve on what's already established. And of course, if there are any graphic designers or anything like that, I'd be interested in collaborating maybe. I know some graphic designers myself, and they've helped me as well in the past with my thumbnails and also the graphics, so I'll be looking to make some improvements as well. I'm also working as well at the same time, but once I get home, I'm looking to basically find some time to improve the videos and the graphics. I would have Moises over Rice. Look, I'd love both, but maybe, yeah, I think Caicedo has more potential. That's it. Rice might be the better player right now. In terms of a fit for Arsenal, I'd say Caicedo might be the better one. He also can play right back as an inverted right back, and he could be the really good option there. McAllister just had in his contract. Yeah, I mean, honestly though, he just showed, it's just kind of weird to see a player of that quality, a World Cup winner, going for 35 million, even if it's a release clause. I would have thought he would have signed one where Brighton get at least 50, 60 million for him. But there you go. Great deal for Liverpool. And look, I think Brighton will unearth another gem. Buonanotte, I think, will do really well next season and also in the years to come before he's probably eventually sold as well. And Brian will obviously uncover another player or two that just sets the world alight, like Matoma and all these other players like Caicedo over the last few years. But thank you to everyone for watching. Let's all go watch the Champions League final. Be sure to drop this video a like on your way out. Enjoy the Champions League final. If you aren't already tuning in, what are you waiting for? Be sure to do so and subscribe to the channel like I just said. Share this video around and be sure to tune in for UCL Fantasy and FPL next season. The plan is to do more content for the 2023-24 campaign as well. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and check all the links in the description below for the Patreon, Championships Discord server, and the UCL Fantasy League. A massive shout out to those of you that have tuned in. Thank you to the Parky. Good luck as well, and good luck with Brighton next season. I appreciate those that have tuned in for all these streams and videos. The support has been massive in UCL Fantasy and FPL. Take care, enjoy the football. Hopefully there's a great Champions League final. Maybe Inter Milan winning it in the end. Let's wait and see. But enjoy your sunny day in the UK and the Champions League final with all the football to come over the summer. and next season. I'll see you then.